Brady, you ready to rock?
Yeah, ready to.
I thought maybe Brady dress up today. I thought of the three of us, you might be the most likely to dress up for Halloween edition.
Oh, I guess I should have.
Did you even think about it?
No.
You didn't? What would you dress up as if you did?
Gandalf.
That's exactly what
one.
That's exactly what I thought.
What if I dressed up as a hobbit?
It'd be really funny. That's why you should do it.
It would be
6'5" hobbit.
Yeah. You like what would you wear? Like some of those big hobbit feet?
Yeah, big hobbit feet. Tape some hair to my feet, yeah. Glue some hair to my feet, I guess.
One of those cute little outfits.
It'd be pretty fun.
Do you dress up for Halloween?
No.
You don't? You do. You and the wife and kids?
Halloween, I mean, you'll know this better than anyone. You've had 3 of them. Mm-hmm. But when you have kids, like the thought of, am I going to do anything for Halloween personally is completely out the window. You just don't even, you
whatever your kids are doing.
Yeah, you just do whatever you're essentially told that the family's going to dress up as. Mm-hmm. So like, yeah, there's no thought or planning or anything. It's just like, yep, the kids are doing this, so you're doing that. Okay.
Does your wife plan costumes and all that?
Yeah. My wife is she's very, she loves the magic.
Sure.
So she loves she loves from now until New Year's, she's just in her happy place. She's all about creating the magic for the kids. So the house is dressed up, the multiple costumes. My kid's already been Donald Duck, my youngest one. Turtle's already been Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, a ninja. So we're just down the list.
So you're just going to wait till Halloween and see what it is that you're going to be?
Yeah, we let them dress up. Well, I say let. She forces the young one, the Romeo, to dress up. But she lets Lorenzo, like on the weekends, all through October. He can,
Nice.
He wears whatever he wants. And then on Halloween, then the whole family. Then we're all in one. At least I don't have to wear one every weekend, so that's good.
This is why I'm so glad that you guys know I hate spending money on anything besides for like hunting or like
don't have kids.
Thing. Yeah,
don't have kids.
But like, I'm really glad my girlfriend and I are like the exact same person. Because I was like, maybe we should go like carve some pumpkins or do something like typical. She's like, why? Why would we spend money on that when we're just going to throw it away? And I'm like, yes. I was hoping you would say, but I offered the thought about like, let's do something fun. I was like, do we want to dress up or do something? She's like, why?
You guys might want to join.
We're just gonna be hanging out.
You might want to join the Jehovah's Witnesses, maybe. you two. You want to celebrate holidays?
You guys. We even talked about decorating. She's like, why would we decorate? Like, why would we waste money on Halloween decorations? Why would we waste money on Thanksgiving decorations? We just don't need to. I'm like, yeah, let's just do something fun instead. She's like, okay. You guys do something actually fun instead of just like burning money on useless things that you just sit in a box all year. Then you have to store them. And I'm like, I hate storing things in my house because I just look at my house all the time. Like, what can I get rid of? What can I sell? Why do I have this?
You guys should really take on the minimalist thing where you have no more than 7 of anything. Because it gets you through the week. I'm actually very drawn to that. Like, if you could really get yourself in life to no more than 7 of anything.
So 7 pairs of socks, 7 boxers, 7 shirts,
7 forks, 7 plates, 7. It's gets you through the week.
That's even more plates than I have right now.
7 bows.
7 bows.
7 bows.
There we go.
Oh, 7 backpacks. 7
no more
bags.
But 7 arrows.
I love this.
That would be
no
hard
more
for
than
you.
7 of everything. I think it'd be a phenomenal way to live.
It might be, yeah.
Brady, you need a tiny house. You looked into that? One of those little tiny houses?
That's tall.
You have to get a 15-foot tiny house.
Yeah. That's the problem, though. I have a lot of like tools and reloading stuff and like deer. I don't have a lot of mounts in my house. I just have a lot of furs.
They're in your office.
Yeah, they're mostly at the office.
That's why Brady has to work here forever. He's got all his mounts in that office. They're going in.
I can't fit them in my house.
That's it.
That's why we have to have an office.
That's right.
I don't have anywhere else to put it.
You got to put your stuff.
Like, it wouldn't fit in my house. So
yeah.
We have to have an office.
It would look probably like really tacky if someone walked in my house and there were just like 40 mounts like right away in the entryway, because I got tall ceilings in the entryway. It'd be very weird.
Just put them all in one wall.
That's what I have to put in my house, is all in one wall.
That one wall above your fireplace, just stack them all in there as tight as you can get it.
Be pretty sweet.
It'd be pretty sweet. You make a statement.
Make a statement.
People would know who you are.
You'd open the door, there'd be no doubt about who Brady Miller is.
Mm-hmm. Are you dressing up, Tro?
No, I've never dressed. I haven't dressed up in ages. I can't remember.
Your kids are older, but I'm
Yeah,
sure you
they're
did
older.
when they were.
Yeah,
young.
I can't remember actually the last time I dressed up. I was trying to remember. We were talking about some of the funny Halloween costumes that we had as kids. The funniest one I ever did is me and a buddy dressed up like Milli Vanilli.
That's
Do
awesome.
you remember that?
That's awesome.
Yeah, we had the long braids and the whole nine, so that'll really date me. But what's going on at GOHUNT? What's new?
You tell us.
Vote no. So we got the 5th coming up, right? So
We do.
we're continuing to push. You guys been getting lots of DMs?
Yeah.
Hundreds of DMs.
Me-
I mean, not hundreds of DMs, but constantly DMs
Yeah.
about like, hey, I talked to this person.
Me too.
They're not going to vote no. You know, thanks for the podcast. Thanks for being there. Like, what can I do to support? Like, lots
Yeah.
of.
I've had a lot of appreciation based
Mm-hmm.
DMs.
I had a really cool one the other day. A guy said he went to a brewery with his wife. He sat down and he said the table next to him was a group of women. And he said he heard the one lady mention Prop 127 and they were kind of talking about it. And he's like, I just couldn't help it. So he interjected himself and kind of gave them the rundown on it. And they were like, yeah, that makes sense. You know, we'll vote no. And then one of the another friend came to join him and she popped in and heard what they were talking about. And she said, oh, yeah, I know about that. She said, I had a friend from Washington that hunts and he'd already messaged me and told me to vote no. So
It's awesome.
It's awesome. Yeah, I was
So
telling this
awesome.
guy, I'm like,
You
that's
sent
really
that one in Slack.
Yeah.
It's so awesome.
yeah. I was like, that's what's really going to take is it's going to take grassroots. It's
Yeah.
going to people in breweries and pubs and wherever you find yourself, schools,
Yep.
just saying
Be proud. Be proud.
the
Of,
library.
just be proud of talking about it
Yeah.
and telling people the truth.
Yeah, for sure.
When the truth's on your side, it's pretty easy to talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's coming up, so continue, get the word out, vote no. We do have a bunch of stuff coming. You said holidays. That got me thinking. We got Black Friday coming up.
Yep.
And I know the e-com team has been getting together the list of stuff, and it's going to be massive.
Yep.
Talking to Lane, who's our marketing guy, he said, let everybody know that it's going to be like the good old days back when, you could line up in a Walmart and buy a TV for $50, 50-inch plasma or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Those are the good days.
He's like, we're going back. We're going to do it upright. So look for Black Friday coming up. And then
He
we
just
do.
killed a bull over the weekend too.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. I was
Jealous.
surprised to see him back in the office so quick.
Yeah.
I was like, you
Got
must
it
have
done.
shot that from
Got
the
it done easy.
You must have shot that from the road, Lane.
Yeah.
Which I wouldn't turn down. Late
Rags
October
for
bull.
life. Like I said,
That was a mature 5. That was a good bull.
Yeah, it was a good bull.
rags for life.
Are you taking a shot at
Had
Lane's
some
bull?
mass.
No, we were messaged back and forth, so it's an inside joke.
I don't think it was a raghorn. That was a mature
that's
5.
it had
That was a good
mass.
5.
It was a good 5.
Yeah, it was good good
saying-
bull.
All right.
Lane, if you're
I'll let
listening-
slide.
Right here.
I'll let slide.
Brady's.
It's only coming from Brady.
I'll let slide. It's
We've had people asking when stuff's going to be back in stock, so I figured I'd address that real quick. We have tons of stuff coming back in stock, including stoves. So those have been super popular. GOHUNT stoves will be back in stock. The Camo Approach hoodie will be back in stock, and then also the BlackRock hoodie, which is kind of a mid-layer grid fleece quarter zip. Those will be back in stock next week. So check those out. Look for them. If you guys have been shooting out emails wanting to know when things are going to be back in stock, that's when they'll be there. So next week, look for it. And then I have a film coming out.
you got a hunt film coming
a
out.
hunt film coming out November 10th.
Number 10.
Yeah, one good chance. It's about my Nevada archery late season deer hunt last year, which it's always interesting to watch yourself in a film.
Yeah.
It always
It
is. That's why I really like when we were like, you were down here last week podcasting and did a bunch of other videos, and I was sitting here watching the film. And I liked how you were like, I really would like if they would change this. And since I feel like it's always hard for you to critique it, I would be like, all right, I'm just going to say that trail.
Yeah.
And so I would like give the feedback of like, yeah, maybe modify this or do this. And I'm like, I'm just taking what Trail says because
I was
it
dropping
feels weird talking about.
I was dropping Brady breadcrumbs. I was like,
Yeah.
what do you think about this?
and they're like, maybe help me out, Brady, by
He's
you,
like,
trying to get
by
Brady
you
to say
mentioning
it.
it.
Yeah.
He's like, oh yeah, I see your point. Yeah,
Yeah.
I
was
know
like,
where you're going.
I got your back. I'm going to make sure, extend that stock a little bit to show the struggle, show what it's like because we filmed it. So like,
Yep.
showcase that because then you portray it a little bit easier for people to see. Like, archery
I
hunting's
can't
not
even
easy.
watch myself. I can't even do it. to
Yeah,
even critique
I watched
it.
that one and I was like, man, I look old. That's what I thought. That was the first thought. I thought, man, I'm either not sleeping much when I'm out there, or I'm just flat ass old at
Just
this
getting
point.
old.
Just getting old.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was one of my first thoughts. You guys can promo. You hit promo podcast.
Promo code podcast.
You want to do
Use
that?
it.
Hit it real quick. I'm gonna plug my computer in before it dies. That's
Okay,
how-
do it. Yeah. So yeah, use promo code podcast and you sign up for an insider account. We were just talking about all sorts of stuff in the shop. So normally you can, get a lot of good things in the Go Hunt Gear Shop with that 50 points that you'll get when you use promo code podcast. $50 spent in the shop. Got a lot of cool things coming up. We'll break the internet right now. We talked about it a little bit before, but the new thing coming to Insider. So if you're not an Insider yet, you're going to want to be, because this new little redesign we're doing is going to be. I don't like the word groundbreaking, even though I use it quite a bit. Or like game changing. But like
groundbreaking. What other marketing terms can we use?
Yeah, but it's just, I don't know, badass.
It's just awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is
just
awesome.
Literally awesome.
It's super cool.
So it's going to highly benefit people who are very experienced, highly benefit new users as well. And it's going to allow you to find hunting opportunities like never before.
Yeah.
So stay tuned for that. So it's coming up right in time for, well before application season is going to start. But like we're always saying, we're researching right now for hunting opportunities next year, especially me who struck out 0 for 2 on my mule deer tags in the fall. But I'm already looking for next year. So this is going to be a sick tool. I've got to play around with it a little bit, and it's going to greatly benefit myself, and it's going to benefit me. I definitely think it's going to benefit everyone. So selfishly, you guys should all check it out. So insiders will have it, and if you're not, use promo code podcast.
Yeah. Get yourself $50 in the Go Hunt Gear Shop.
Yep.
Yeah, so this week's episode is actually pretty cool. I'm glad that we did this, because it's always kind of fun.
This is a great idea you had.
Yeah, I don't know if I had the idea.
It was your idea.
I actually thought, here's the funny thing. I thought I had this idea, and I was like, oh, this is a sick idea. So I pitched it, and then I did the reel, which we got stories from. People submitted their stories, and somebody commented that they have a podcast, and that's their shtick. Like, that's what they do. And they were like, oh, we have lots of them. Check it out. And I was like, oh. I wonder,
really?
Yeah, I wonder if like...
Did they comment that on Go Hunt's reel?
Yeah, I was wondering if subconsciously at some point I'd known that or read it. I promised that I didn't. I just thought I had a great idea.
It's like that's the whole podcast
Their
premise.
whole
is just,
podcast?
I think it's their
it's
whole
just spooky
podcast.
stories?
Mm-hmm.
It's like a crime podcast for hunting.
Yeah. I don't know if it's just hunting. I'll have to check it out. But yeah, I thought I had this great idea.
Dude, those crime and murder podcasts are like the number ones all the time.
Oh, yeah.
It's great. People, they love...
Every time I think I have a good
it's
idea,
like TV
though.
shows, crime and movie TV shows.
Dude, people love their crime.
That was the great thing before the internet existed. Just ignorance is bliss. You thought you had a good idea, and you're like, you did.
Yeah.
Now you think you have a good idea, and you just one little Google search and you figure that.
That's what my dad's been telling me as a kid. There's no such thing as an original idea anymore. Yeah. Just better execution.
Right.
Yeah.
It's the only thing that exists nowadays. Just better executed.
So we asked for people to submit spooky, weird, wild stories, things that had happened to you when you're out in the woods. You guys were very generous and submitted a bunch. We won't have a chance to get to all of them. I'm going to save a bunch of them. Maybe we'll do it again.
Yeah, we had a lot of submissions, which was awesome to see.
Yeah, which was awesome.
Yeah, I was scrolling through that like main document.
Yeah.
The customer service team was putting together for us from the emails. I'm like, whoa, this is growing. And then I checked the next day. It's like, oh my gosh, there's like 10 more.
Yeah. So we hugely appreciate it. So thank you for all submitting.
Kind of freak you out when you read through some of them.
I know.
And I was like, and you got to figure what percentage of people, is this a listing they actually wrote in, There's some weird, wild shit going on out there.
And I don't know if you guys do this, but I've always said to myself, once like October starts, I don't watch any super scary shit on TV. Just I don't want to get in my head.
I don't watch scary shit anyways.
I
can't do it. Dude, I've been a scaredy cat my whole life. I was terrified of King Kong. I was terrified of all of
King
Yetis. I've always just
Abominable Snowman you're scared of?
Dude, everything. When I was a kid, I was known as the fraidy cat as a kid in my family. I was terrified of everything, and so I don't even mess with that stuff.
Yeah, because I just don't want something to get in my mind randomly while I'm hiking back in the dark. All of a sudden, then it'll spark oh, remember that show you watched last week, Brady, where it freaked it. You out for a second, made you
there
jump.
Was a guy hiking on a trail out by himself.
And now I heard it.
Exactly
then all of a sudden you hear this noise that you really didn't hear. You just made it up in your head. So I avoid.
I love a scary movie.
I'll watch them after the hunting season.
I can't stand it.
But not right now. Not during now.
I heard there's one on Netflix right now that a bunch of people have said that's legitimately one of the most disturbing films.
Why do that to yourself?
I might have to check that one
out.
On
Netflix?
Why?
Yeah, I think it's on Netflix.
I mean,
I I don't know what it's called. I just read something the
heard
other
that
day,
one.
and I was like, "Oh, this one sounds interesting." A lot of people had reviewed it and said this is a lot. Even a lot of people were saying, "Yeah, I couldn't finish it. It was too much. Like, I had to turn it off."
Dude, why? I don't understand.
I don't know. It's fun to feel scared a little bit, isn't it?
I always just look at like the cover art for all these scary things, and I'm like, bro, you've got to be some.
Did you Google it?
I like.
What's the first one that pops up? Might be like Ouija or something.
New horror movies on Netflix 2024. This might be all of 2024. Don't move. Outside.
I'll find it. I'll post it somewhere.
Gross.
Tear it.
Anyway.
Monster. Thanksgiving.
Do you guys, okay, so we'll jump in. We'll read some of the submitted one, and then I think if you guys have got one, I asked you to think about it. I've got a couple, which people have asked me to tell it again, so I'll tell it again. I think I've probably told it before, and it didn't even necessarily happen when I was in the woods, but it's weird enough. It's the weirdest thing that ever happened to me, so I'll probably include that one in the end. But
I like when you talk about that because I'll always say afterwards, I pay attention to every single word you say and when you give that story because I'm like, I'm gonna catch you, but you always say it exactly the same every single time. So I want to believe him.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for him to talk about that one.
It's like a real Bob Lazar over there.
That's right.
Story never changes.
I'll deliver that one at the end, maybe.
Okay.
Who wants to get started first? Lorenzo, just want to start and go around? We'll start.
Yeah.
We got one
Yeah.
apiece. Do you want to jump in, read the first one?
All right. So, first of all, I'm mad at you for making me read publicly right now. I was never good at this in school. You know what I mean? It's like
you're gonna stutter.
Like you're the fourth paragraph. So then I wouldn't listen to what any of the other kids were saying because I would just read the fourth paragraph over and over and over, and I would still mess it up.
Yeah.
So, thank you.
You can't mess it up.
Thank you for doing that to me, Trail, on a public
bet.
thing. So, all right, here we go. As a good old boy from rural Georgia, my two favorite things growing up were my pets and hunting. Most of my childhood hunting was spent on a tree nursery all the way across the county from my home. We mainly hunted white-tailed deer, but as a favor to the farmer, we often killed feral hogs, coyotes, bobcats, and armadillos.
Yeah, I didn't know there were armadillos in Georgia. Did you know that?
Be kind of fun to go hunt.
That would be cool.
Let's go do
I've
it.
always wanted to see one.
Yeah. So there were two entry points to the property. And one of the entry points was directly past the farmer's house, which rested on the edge of the property. The farmer had a fenced-in area for his two dogs that spanned several acres. In my college years, one of the dogs, Spud, was deemed worthy of retirement and granted permission to roam the entire property freely. To this day, I am still not sure exactly what Spud retired from, as I do not believe the dogs had any working or hunting purpose. But nevertheless, Spud was free to roam.
It's like my dog.
Yeah, and roam he did. Spud had a unique way of always showing up randomly in my hunts. Sometimes Spud would crash through the woods in the darkest part of the morning when I was walking in, generally scaring the crap out of me in the process. Other times, I would be in the tree stand for several hours, and Spud would catch my scent somehow and start looking for me. The poor dog never seemed to understand that I was, in fact, directly above him. By this point in my life, I had already taken two nice bucks off the property and was not very aggressive in my hunting there. As such, Spud was often a comedic relief to an otherwise boring hunt. As an avid lover of dogs, I would spend most of my time playing with Spud in the woods unless I felt like it would impede other hunters on the property. I was not much of a turkey hunter at the time, so when deer season was over, I wouldn't see Spud until the next deer season opened. Due to some college classes getting canceled, great spot to be in, I got to start one deer season earlier than usual by hunting on a weekday. Weekdays were always great to hunt because I would be the only hunter on the property.
That's a hot tip.
That is a hot tip right there.
Good tip.
On this hunt, I accessed the property by normal route, parking at the farmer's house and walking a short distance to my stand. For a couple hours, I did not see much of anything. But around 8:30 or 9 a.m., a couple does started to appear. They did not stay for very long, as Spud appeared seemingly chasing after them. I laughed to myself and waited 10 to 15 minutes before a deer showed back up. Upon not seeing any other deer, I got back down and started walking towards my truck. While making my way there, I saw the farmer, who waved me over. He asked how I'd done. I laughed and replied that I was doing okay until Spud ran some does off. The farmer gave me a very confused look and asked what I meant. I told him that Spud had chased a couple does off, but that it was okay because that was normal for me. The farmer gave me a bit of a sad look and said, "That's impossible. Spud had died several months earlier. He was buried in a nearby field." To this day, I have no other explanation for what I saw. Spud was unmistakable in the woods. He was tall, lean, and almost entirely white fur. Notwithstanding the white fur, what I saw was too tall to be a coyote and too dog-like in its movements to be an albino deer. While the property had a few residential neighbors, I never saw any other dogs on the property, and to the best of my knowledge, they never had any white dogs. The incident occurred no more than 40 yards from my stand. This would be the first and last sighting of whatever it is that I saw. I had given up trying to find a different explanation, and instead just like to think that was Spud's way of hunting with me one last time. Thanks, y'all. Nicholas Brown. It's awesome.
Do you get that hair stand up on the back of your neck a little bit?
I was reading some of these ones yesterday, so I kind of saw some of them, but
Sure.
I definitely got the a chill
Yeah.
when I was just reading them to myself.
That's pretty creepy.
Yeah, to have that happen where you see the
Yeah.
dog and you're like, oh, it's just normal, but then you find out from the farmer, oh yeah, the dog's actually passed away a while ago.
Yeah, so, and then where my mind goes to is in the moment, you don't know that, so you don't pay extra
right.
close attention.
Yeah.
You just kind of oh yeah, that's
the
it.
dog.
This has happened many times before. And yeah, it's just then you rack your brain trying to think about what the hell it could be.
Yeah, and then you think about it too, it's that thought, you probably just got chills when you heard that, but then when you're going back to the stand the next time, you're going to be thinking about that.
Oh, for sure.
And climbing up in the dark.
At least it was a dog. That's the other thing too. This is my kind of creepy story.
Yeah.
Because it's an awesome dog.
At least it was a dog.
The whole time he was describing that story, I was I wish we had the ability to draw a bunch of cartoons and animate this whole story that's going in front. Because I was
great.
seeing you talking about the farm and the dog running out with these deer.
That'd be a good one.
Just do a little animation.
That's a good one. That was well written too.
How'd I do?
That's awesome.
Yeah, you're good.
That's great.
Thanks,
That's
guys.
crazy.
Good job.
Appreciate that.
Ghost.
Good
Do
job.
you believe in ghosts? Do you believe in ghosts?
I don't think
Are
they're
we getting
actually.
into this right now? We getting into this?
I was just curious. It could be a yes or no answer.
No,
I believe in spirits.
Okay.
No.
No.
I believe in
I don't think
other
I do
dimensions and spirits
Yeah.
that are existing with us.
Ghost dogs.
Zero from the Haunted Mansion.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that was creepy.
Yeah,
I like that one.
That's creepy in all the right ways.
Yeah,
I like that
for
one.
sure.
Creepy, but kind of
Endearing.
touching in a
Yeah.
way because
Yeah.
you got to see the dog one last time
Old Spud.
doing the same thing the dog loved to do. Wreck hunts.
Screw
Chase some deer.
Yes, wreck hunt.
Screw up your deer. All right, Brady, what you got?
All right. Do you want to say who that one's from? Are we going to do
He
that?
did.
I did. Yeah.
Okay.
He even
Nicholas?
said, "Thanks, y'all." He's good old Georgia boy, Nicholas Brown.
Okay.
Appreciate that, Nicholas. Thank you.
All right, here we go. My first one. Go Hunt team. Took some time to get away hunting while stationed in New Mexico. I found a promising spot bordered up against some inaccessible land.
This one actually creeped me out more. I will preface this. This one actually creeped me out more than most.
This is the one that was ugh.
Yeah, this
I
did
got
me.
chill reading it
Yeah.
last night.
I didn't want to jump in, but right when you said New Mexico, I'm like, "Oh God, here we go."
New Mexico's
Weirdest
always.
Have you read
ever.
this one?
No.
Have you? Okay.
No.
Yeah,
I'm going
you-
to be genuinely
I'm
just.
excited for you to hear this
You,
one.
right in here.
you just wait. What's coming up?
New Mexico is one of those spots.
You guys pay attention to this. All right, we're back into it. So I found a promising spot bordered up against some inaccessible land. I got started setting up my camp. I went out to the afternoon to glass to see if I could find any elk. I turned up a few, but last light squandered any chance of pursuing them. I started my way back to camp, back in the dark with only my headlamp, and eventually got there. Crawled in my tent to crash for the night, and right as I became comfortable, I'm surrounded by crashing sounds. All right.
Oh, hell no.
I skirt here in New Mexico.
Hold on. Crashing sounds like what? Like a screech, then a crash, like a car, or like what are we
Oh,
talking?
here we go. I scurry out of my tent, turn on my headlamp, trying to locate the source of the noise. I'm able to catch the reflection of a pair of pearlescent eyes tucked in the distance, but cannot make out the shape of what they belong to. All right, we got some
Okay.
pearly eyes. I jump out of bed. I jump into the bed of my truck as the eyes start approaching.
Oh fuck that.
Okay. Jumping into the bed of the truck. All right. I'll say it again. I jump I jump up into the bed of my truck as the eyes start approaching, making direct eye contact, and I'm still not able to determine what is staring at me due to the brush and cloud of dust. All right, now you got a cloud of dust in there.
Now you got a cloud of dust, some eyes, bunch
Darkness.
of crashing.
Coming towards you.
It's coming towards you. All right, I start hollering, unsure of what to do. Unsure what to do truthfully in hopes that it will leave. I then get charged by a feral black horse.
Pure black? No, why's it got to be black? Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like this is just hitting all the marks of like creepy shit.
Yeah. He tramples through my camp and circles back around, clearly pissed at my near presence. After about 5 or so minutes of this repeatedly, he runs off towards the inaccessible land. All right. Shaken up, I went back to bed and tried to sleep.
Nope.
Yeah, you ain't sleeping.
Hard now.
No.
I'm leaving.
Throughout the course of the hunt, this horse continually appeared,
This is
loitering,
what I think is creepy.
approaching me when my back was turned and halting when I become aware of his presence. I'd run into him at dusk walking back to camp. He'd parallel me and my path. Behavior that, quite honestly, I'd never seen a horse display. That's very odd. Very odd.
Yes.
It really started to get under my skin as it grew less and less impacted by fearful shouts or movements that I made. I'm not going to say it was something nefarious disguised as a horse, but it sure didn't have regular horse behavior. Never a tail movement, a neigh or whinny, nothing. Just sheer silence. Yeah, I'm like starting to shiver again. Like a little
Getting stalked by a black horse.
black horse. His gait was abnormal, almost like a loathing bear, and would always, in all caps, retreat to the west towards the inaccessible land. There were strange sounds that always seemed to come from that direction while I lay inside my shelter. I shoved my headphones in and turned the music up to ignore or feign ignorance of whatever was truly out there. I ended up leaving empty-handed after a couple close encounters with a nice bull, getting within 50 yards of my first ever hunt. I will never forget that creature, and I'm still frightened by the abnormal encounters to this day. Chris Peterson.
Yeah, Chris. I can't believe you stayed there. Like, dude, hard no.
Every day having the same thing happen.
That one was creepy. That one creeps me
I wonder
out. I don't
the
know why.
inaccessible land.
Yeah.
Right? There's a lot of ways that us hunters talk about like certain lands so no one knows where we're at. Mm-hmm. Wonder if that was like a DOD
Yeah, maybe.
land or like dude, New Mexico is the weirdest.
The weirdest. And you have a horse come up to you at night in the dark, and you have to get in the bed of your truck because it comes at you, dust going everywhere.
And then it
every
just
day
keeps
it's following you.
and
That's
paralleling
right.
you.
Never making any noise.
I was
never
okay
wagging his
with
tail.
it up until the point where he said that it would just like appear throughout the entire hunt, and it would just be like stalking him essentially, like
Yes.
off of his peripheral. And then whenever he would be like, it would become aware that he'd seen it. It would just like
Retreat back to the
Could you imagine us sitting there glassing towards the evening, and all of a sudden you put your binos down and turn to the left, and there's a black horse just staring
So
at you?
I was very happy to hear horse because I thought this was going like, oh, I never saw what it was. It did this, it did that,
Yeah.
and like that leaves it up to question.
Yeah.
So like when you said horse, I'm like, oh, thank God. Well, then it gets kind of even more weird that it is
Demon horse.
Demon
Well,
horse,
I mean,
glowing red eyes.
Yeah.
this is what we're getting back into, like what we all believe in.
Lucifer.
Yeah, it was
I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to go that far, but like,
It was Lucifer.
I mean, I'm not going to go that far, but it could be something from another dimension disguised as.
Just weird, right? That's
Yeah.
Or
good.
just you just throw in the DOD properties too. Like, man, I've hunted a lot of those borders. It's just odd. It's just
Yeah.
everything is odd.
Yeah, weird. That was a good one.
You've hunted those borders before, haven't you? It's just
Oh, yeah,
it's
I've had
just
some
odd.
weird-
It's just like a
haven't-
weird feel.
Yeah.
And it's always, of course, too, it's you by yourself.
Yeah, I mean,
You're just like,
why
yeah.
would it happen when you're with 9 people?
No, never.
You know,
All right, you guys ready for this one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This one's a short one, but it's a banger.
is it creepy too?
I think it's creepy. I can imagine. Here's the thing: is like as I was reading these and kind of putting this together, you try not to, but you can't help but put yourself in the situation. You're
For
like,
sure.
what would this be like?
Yeah.
This one's pretty terrifying.
Great.
All right, you ready? So it says, while turkey hunting with a buddy, we found a pig head and carcass hanging from an actual well-tied noose.
A
Wait,
well
what?
tied noose.
Yeah, like a regular
Like
noose.
they knew what they were doing with
Yeah.
the noose.
Says the head was mostly still intact with the eyes missing, assuming birds ate them. The spine and front legs were still attached, but the back legs were gone. It had probably been about a couple weeks. The area was trampled flat all around for about 20 yards, and there was a small fire ring just at the edge of the trampled area. Once we realized what we were looking at, we got the hell out of there. We were hunting a private farm in Indiana that we had just got permission on. It was a pretty big farm for around here, around 300 acres. We decided it was probably best to not hunt it anymore. We never talked to the owner about it, thinking maybe he knew about it. This is purely speculation, he says, but given the history of the area, we thought maybe it was something scare tactic of the KKK. He said, we talked about maybe just some dumbass kids doing it, but it was a lot of work for whoever did it. And he said, it still creeps me out to think about it. Thanks for all you do. Travis Methane.
See,
Indiana's got weird,
Yeah.
like, it's just such like nice Midwest people.
Yeah.
See, that's one of those things too, where I thought it was like, when you're saying it's like, why don't you go talk to the landlord? But then it's like, maybe you don't want to talk to the landlord because the landlord is in on all this stuff, but then he's going to rope you in on it, and then you're going to end up in his basement.
Bro, imagine you're hiking out in the dark in the morning, and you got your headlamp, and you're cooking along. You come around a little bend. There's a great big cottonwood tree with a pig hanging from a noose.
A well-tied noose, like they knew what they were doing.
Oh,
Hell no.
No.
I am,
and then all the ground trampled everywhere.
yeah,
and a
with
little,
a fire pit, I'm gone. Hard no.
Yeah, I'm out of there too.
yeah, you don't know what's going
At
on.
least they
No.
got out of there.
Oh, for sure.
They're
The
like, oh,
last, the last one, where they stayed hunting, I wouldn't be able to do that.
Yeah.
that's probably why the landlord gave him permission to hunt. He's like, yeah, come hunt my property.
No, I'm not feeling that one at all. Don't
Next
like
thing
it.
you know, you're down in a well, telling you put lotion on.
It puts the lotion on the
Yeah.
skin.
Boof.
All right, good one. You ready for another one?
Back to me?
Yeah, back to you.
All right. Hey guys, this story actually happened this year. A friend and I were elk hunting a rutting bull that we were trying to shoot for days. And we had him set up ahead of me, and I was cow calling this bull, and it was driving him nuts. He gets close enough that I can see him, and my buddy is close enough to shoot him, but can't see the bull at all. We only have maybe like 10 minutes of shooting light left. Next thing you know, we hear this scream that I've never heard before in my entire life, and it concerned the bull enough that it stopped him in his tracks, and he stared in the direction of the scream.
No,
He
that's
didn't
creepy
bugle
already.
again. He didn't make a sound. He went from chuckling, screaming. He went from a chuckling, screaming monster to very quiet, very cautious. That sound was maybe 200 yards away, and it made my skin crawl. And when it screamed again, the bull turned and hauled ass out of there. I met up with my buddy, and we were both like, what the fuck was that? He said WTF, but I was adding for color. When we linked back to make the walk back to camp in the dark. I've heard about every animal that makes a sound in Colorado, and it wasn't anything I've ever heard. It wasn't a mountain lion scream. It wasn't a shitty hunter bugle. It wasn't a coyote yipping or anything else. It was insane. And if I would have been alone, I probably would have walked all the way back to the truck for miles. Needless to say, we didn't hear any more bugles until much later that night. Whatever it was scared the crap out of everything in the area. Joseph Gish.
Do you guys believe in Bigfoot?
I don't believe in Bigfoot.
Maybe that was Bigfoot out there.
Do you believe in Bigfoot?
Maybe Bigfoot stepped on something and got hurt. And it was like screaming.
Ran out of
pissed.
Jack Link's jerky?
I don't believe in Bigfoot either.
I don't
Too many
bel-
trail cameras out there.
What do you think it was?
Redneck.
I don't know. But screams.
Lion?
I mean, lions do have a piercing scream.
Yeah, they've got some weird noises.
But the thing that's crazy is like the bull was bugling, chuckling, coming in, all of a sudden just and it was like got out of there.
Well,
like,
the bull was clearly as concerned with the scream as everyone else
and then
was.
not hearing anything else the rest of the day. till
Yeah, I
like late in the
don't
evening.
know.
I think that was just a Colorado
lion.
Karen. That's what that was. She's out there.
Yelling at hunters.
Yeah.
It's like stuff like that though. That's like you think you know all the sounds, like you said. Like you've been out in the woods, you know what a mountain lion is. You've heard a bear, you've heard coyotes, you've heard like wounded animals, or like. But then you hear something it's just
Man, you know,
can't put your finger on.
You know, what's a creepy noise I heard this year, which I have heard and I knew what it was. Camped in a saddle hunting elk. We had a bull moose come in through the saddle, and he walked probably no less than 10 feet from us, 10 yards from us, and moonlight, and
Ooh.
and he's grunting, and it was like you could feel it. in your almost in your chest. It's this real low, you know, that
Yeah.
That was creepy. To be
That is creepy.
That was really creepy. He had his head kind of rolling back side by side, you know, and just grunting. That was I've heard moose grunt before, but that one being so close to it, that one scared.
You could feel the bass.
That one, that one scared the shit out of me. I didn't like that.
In here, he says it wasn't a lion scream.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, because that was my first thought was like, oh, it's a mountain lion scream. And granted, they all don't. It's like elk, right? Like some of them do have very odd screams compared to the others, just like an elk has an odd bugle. But if he's heard lions scream before,
That one can only be a Sasquatch.
Yeah, and especially something that's going to
got to
scare.
be a squatch.
Going to totally scare away an elk. You know, it's got to be something big or something like that. No one's going to attack it. Like, yeah, sure, an elk can get eaten by a mountain lion. But a big bull is bigger than a mountain lion, you know, and it's like in the healthy ones. You'd be like,
ground sloth.
Giant ground sloth.
It's a Gigantopithecus.
That one, you know what's actually scary about that story is that the elk reacted to it.
Yeah, when other animals react to it,
yeah,
then
when the animal reacts to it, yeah, you're like, oh, wait.
For a bull to completely shut up after he had
disappear.
been, and then go quiet until it got dark, basically.
Not cool, man.
That freaked me out.
Yeah.
I would have walked back to the truck. I don't do the creepy stuff.
Yeah. I'm having so much fun listening to these. This is the best. What do you got, Brady?
All right, I got one. All right. This guy says, "What's up, Go Hunt? I have a pretty gnarly hunting story that scared the shit out of me."
Oh, boy.
Starting off with the banger here. April of 2022, I had a turkey tag in the state of redacted. I just want to say I love this guy because he has redacted.
That's why I gave you this one.
Yeah, multiple times. I'm like,
I didn't even read the whole story, and when I saw redacted and then redacted, I was like, "This is going to Brady."
This guy's my best friend already.
Crowd.
It's turkey hunting.
Yeah,
he's still redacting it.
Redacted.
Love it. You need to do that more. Let's protect the spots we hunt. I agree with him. All right. My turkey tag in state of redacted. I had some luck for permission on private ground outside of redacted. I was able to set up a ground blind on the outskirts of an ag field for a few days. Excuse me. Didn't have much luck the first few hunts and noticed some weather coming in later in the week. Knowing I didn't want to leave my blind up with the weather, I decided to sit one more time before packing up all my gear. This hunt was much like the rest of the season, hot, windy, and no interested birds. Keeping a close eye on my weather app, everything seemed peachy. After a few hours, I decided to try an aggressive fight call to see if it would change my luck. Sure enough, Tom popped his head up 150 yards behind me and started cruising in. An absolute perfect scenario. A turkey hunter's dream. Full strut, pissed off, and 15 yards from my broadhead. I waited till he turned his head, drew back, and let one fly. Ended up being a good shot. The Tom ran into some nearby cedar trees, and that's where I assumed he would expire. Okay.
Sounds like a great hunting story.
Great hunting story so far.
I love the imagery of, you hit that, the fight call and the turkey's like,
it just pops up.
That's how every scary story starts.
You see that red head pop up and he's like, yep, coming. I love that.
Love that.
I'm pumped. Adrenaline going. Did not think this hunt was even worth sitting and ended up being a picture perfect scenario. During all the excitement, 30 seconds later, the wind stopped. The sky became overcast and eerily calm. I remember thinking, oh, that's weird. Seconds later, bow still in hand, I felt like the wrath of God was bestowed upon me. Winds coming in so violent, I dropped my bow and was holding onto my blind with both hands, trying to fight off Mother Nature. To no avail, my blind was ripped from over me and had me sitting in my blind chair on this random field alone.
Damn. So he's sitting in a blind and it ripped the whole blind?
It's like tornado shit.
Yeah. As I picked my head up, dirt flying everywhere, I seen a funnel start forming in the field ahead of me. I remember saying, oh my God, panicking, laying in the fetal position and covering my head. Not really sure what happened after that. The twister went over me or to the adjacent field, but I do remember 45 seconds later, the wind being manageable enough to at least grab my bag bow and book it to my pickup.
So legitimate tornado.
Legit tornado. Came and ripped through him while he was turkey hunting.
Holy shit.
And he's laying in the fetal position, covering his head in the field with his ground blind gone.
Wow.
Damn.
After making it back to my pickup shaking, I realized my turkey is still out there. He just killed the turkey too. So
dude, if there's ever an excuse, that's a pretty good excuse.
Yeah, the game warden might appreciate
fetal position through a tornado. Yeah, kind of a good excuse to forget you had a turkey out there.
Yeah. So yeah, he realized my turkey's still out there. I was able to drive over to the landowner's house and get inside until the storm somewhat cleared up. He offered to help drive back and retrieve this Tom and look for my blind. Luckily, my bird was unscathed in those same cedar trees, and my blind had wrapped itself on a barbed wire fence. I was able to get the turkey tag and all my gear loaded up. Moral of the story, if you think hunting gets your adrenaline going, you should try mixing it with some storm chasing. Not sure I want to ever again.
Yeah,
Luke.
that's aggressive.
Yeah.
Turkey hunt turns into...
Yeah, Luke had a little survival situation there.
Dude, a tornado? That's
tornado ripping through.
That's terrifying.
Especially going from highest up high.
Oh, yeah.
You didn't think it was going to work. You should have took it with your bow, jacked, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, a storm comes in, and you're in the fetal position in your ground, or in your what used to be your ground blind. Your ground blind's gone.
Yeah, that's
ripped
aggressive,
off over top of you.
Yeah,
At least it's not creepy though, so I can get down with that one because it's
That,
not
pretty,
creepy.
that one might be the scariest of the bunch, though. In reality,
because it's real.
Yeah,
a
it's
freaking
real.
tornado.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's aggressive.
hard no.
Might be able to guess which redacted state that is.
Tornadoes, springtime.
I did love that though. Redacted.
Yeah,
Freaking, I love you gave that one
Hunting
to me.
near redacted. All right, I got one for you. This says, good evening, Go Hunt crew. I had a very odd weekend of turkey hunting last spring. I got out of work late on a Friday to drive 3.5 hours to the neighboring state to a pin I had saved that was marked as a campsite. After driving through steep hills and questionable back roads, I arrived at the campsite icon well after dark, only to realize, as I stepped out, that it was an overgrown cemetery.
Oh no! Oh no!
No way.
Oh no!
He gets,
We're going cemetery in the dark.
he says, I then drove to a state park an hour down the road to spend the night. At about 3 a.m., I had a coyote howling and barking mere feet from my tent. There were tracks all around the tent when I got up a few hours later. So I'm not sure if there was a pack or just one circling the tent a few times before running off. During the day, while chasing gobblers, I stumbled across 2 more unmarked cemeteries in the middle of the woods that day, as well as numerous oddly placed trash piles. One of the trash piles had a number of dolls around it.
Oh, that's a dead giveaway to get the fuck out of there. Dead giveaway to leave.
Just run.
He says, I got the heck out of there in a hurry. To cap off the day, I was hunting a private land border when I came around a bend to see, thankfully fake, a tall skeleton someone had propped leaning up against the fence facing the public side.
And that's something weird too, because that's in this. You say spring hunting turkeys or fall?
Spring, yeah.
Spring hunting turkeys. So like, there shouldn't be any Halloween skeletons hanging around.
That's probably somebody just marking their private land border saying, hey,
Yeah.
yeah, you don't want to mess with this. This is what happens. He says, with all that happening, I vacated the area and tried somewhere else. I'm not real tough, but I've spent many nights in the woods, mountains by myself without issue before. I was so spooked after that day of hunting. I don't think I've slept 5 minutes the next day. Aside from all the strange happenings, it was fun to learn about the area as it was reclaimed coal mine country. Lots of great American history. Thanks again for all the great content. Cheers, Jalen Baldwin.
You made the right decision, Jalen.
Yeah, that could have got way
I'm
worse.
right there with you.
But what are the odds you like do a bunch of e-scouting, drop a pin, drive over there to camp, and it's a overgrown graveyard?
Did you imagine rolling into camp at night? You're pumped to go hunting. You jump out of the truck, do a little
There's
exploring, and
headstones.
there's just straight headstones.
You realize you did something bad. You disturbed something.
I mean,
Growing
it's
over a
like-
cemetery.
I don't know about you guys, but it's even just a little bit creepy to drive past one. You know what I mean?
Yeah, when your headlights hit a cemetery.
Yeah, it's
No.
like just like ooh, you know, like
You
I don't
guys
want
didn't go
to.
That
under.
shit will follow you. They'll
You
hop
didn't
in
go
your truck
underground
with you.
Yeah,
cemetery.
I don't want to disturb.
spirits
Right,
will-
like they're rest in peace, man. Like I
You
don't
guys
want
are
to
in high
disturb
school. You didn't go for late night walks to the cemetery.
No.
No, no.
it. Trail, I couldn't
Did
even
you?
watch. I couldn't even watch Godzilla.
You guys thought that was a good idea?
For sure, yeah.
Were you scared?
Thrill seeker. No, I don't
Yeah,
really.
you were. Yeah,
I
you
couldn't
were.
even watch King Kong. You think I'm walking through a cemetery?
Well, I know what we're doing tonight.
No, no.
Whew.
That was a good one. Thanks,
And
James.
then running into other cemeteries.
Oh, yeah, I just kept going. That was actually interesting. As I read through these, it seems to be a theme. Like somebody would have something happen,
And then multiple things
and then
happen.
something else would happen, then something else would
Signs.
happen.
They call those signs. That's what they call that.
That tells you to, if you
like,
didn't
oh, I-
understand the first one, get out of here.
Can you please send me a sign?
I love that one.
Like that. That's what those are.
That was great. All right, what you got? You got another one?
Yeah, this one's a good one. This one's a good one. You know it's good when it starts with this. All right, this might sound really crazy. You know it's a good one when it starts with that. So, all right, this might sound really crazy, but I've got a ghost deer story. So my parents lived next to this huge wooded area by a creek and a swamp. We always called it the hidden forest when we were kids. The legend between all the kids in the area was that this forest had spirits and ghosts in it at night, and all of my childhood, I was terrified of these woods.
Yeah, so let's go deer hunt it.
He wasn't deer hunting it.
Sounds.
Here we go.
Ghost deer.
Anyway, this place was wild. It was a mix of swamp, creek bottom with these massive cottonwood trees, and it's actually pretty secluded considering it's close to Salt Lake.
That's not where I thought that was going.
No.
I was thinking of you see like those swamp like duck hunts those guys do in the South where you got it's like waist deep or whatever, and you're wading out through those, and it's all the moss is hanging from the trees.
Yeah,
that's where my mind
and you
went.
have cottonmouths and alligators.
Yeah.
It's like
that's creepy.
Mm-hmm. All right. Every winter, deer would come down into the neighborhoods, and this forest would be packed with them. You'd see like 20 deer at a time just walking through. I even found a 170-inch shed in my parents' backyard once, and one of my neighbors hit a 197 buck not far from there. So yeah, this place was a legit deer haven. But this isn't about hunting and seeing something freaky. It's about something ... else. So my parents' backyard is pretty big, about an acre, with a steep hill in the back. The whole yard is fenced off, and from the pool, you can see the cottonwoods about 100 yards away. This happened when I was in high school. I had some friends over for a pool party, and everyone had left except my girlfriend and I. We were just hanging out by the pool, and it was around midnight, full moon, super bright, clear night. It was the perfect summer night. In quotes, no one was under the influence.
That's important.
All the friends leave, and it's just you and your girlfriend.
I'm
and
going to include that part of my story later as well.
In Salt Lake, believable, not under the influence.
Yeah.
Then, out of nowhere, I hear this metal gate slam, very, very loud. My first thought was that one of my friends had come back to grab something they had left behind. We hear footsteps, so we both turn around to see who it is. But there was no one there. Just this weird, glowing fog running right at us.
No.
It passed by like 10 yards away and then kept running up the hill in my parents' backyard. The weird part? It looks similar to a deer running, and it sounded exactly like a deer running. I have hunted enough to know that sound. Legs pounding the ground, branches breaking. It even sounded like it jumped the fence at the top of the hill. But there was no deer. Just this mist right in front of me, and I'm telling you, there is no way it was an actual animal. The specific area of the backyard began to have continuous paranormal experiences.
Oh, gosh.
After that night, the gate kept doing weird stuff, opening and closing by itself for years. We had had other strange things happen too. Doors opening, people saying they saw figures around the yard. Other people that didn't know about any of the previous experiences here, people that were new to the house, were saying the same thing. It was almost like the ghosts from the hidden forest we joked about as kids weren't just stories after all. Brady Cooper.
Woof.
I'd sell that place.
Dude, I'm out. I'm out.
Even if you got deer around there, I'm selling that place. We're out.
Yeah, I'm out.
Dude,
Paranormal activity?
Dude, the Iron Gate opening.
Yeah.
You're just sitting there and you hear the gate open. And you're like, huh.
That's like all the classic
How about a misty fog running by and then jumping the fence?
That's all the classic scary movies where people move into a house, nice happy family, and all of a sudden something weird happens. All of a sudden the dog goes missing. All of a sudden the kids are acting weird.
Yeah, the plot to every scary movie that I won't watch.
And then something comes out of the closet.
Yeah. I'm out.
Oh, man. That one's creepy.
I'm out.
No thanks.
Ghost buck.
Because that one's weird too, because it had prolonged paranormal activity afterwards. It wasn't just a one.
Yeah, when I was...
And then new people coming over the house, and there's a lot of scariness built up into it.
Yeah, people who were new to the neighborhood, who didn't know about this forest back there that he joked about as kids, even said that they've noticed weird things happening.
Is it cold in here? I'm like cold today, actually. Normally I'm roasting in here.
Yeah, that'd be weird.
Yeah, that's a weird one.
Oof.
All right,
all the people though up in northern Utah just got excited though, and they're like, sheds, 197-inch deer. They're probably trying to Google exactly
Where's this
like the
place at?
location
Hey man,
of it.
Utahns, they don't care about ghosts. If there's 190
They're going.
sheds, they're going.
They're all excited.
Haunt me forever. I'm going.
Yeah.
Utah's social structures revolve around how many big deer you've killed.
Shedicated.
It's the funniest. It's the funniest culture ever.
Hey, don't touch those sheds; they're haunted.
That's good.
Bro, you're not allowed to vote. You haven't even killed a 170-inch deer.
That's right.
Like that's how it works in Utah.
Get back. That's good. I like that one.
That was really good.
What do you got?
All right, here we go.
I got this one for you too because I was like, oh, this is right up Brady's alley.
I love you're catering these to me.
I liked it for you. Okay. Well, the one that redacted, I was like, that's definitely Brady. This is his best friend.
Okay. All right. Hey, guys. I got a story about an interesting fella my friend and I encountered while hunting. We were driving down a trail and met this guy leaning against a car. He ended up telling us that he was out with his girlfriend and her dad looking for agate rocks, but they ended up leaving him out there for dead.
That's what he told them?
Yeah.
Out of his mouth?
Out of his mouth.
Oh, boy.
His girlfriend and her dad left him for dead while they're looking for agate rocks.
Okay.
He said he went 28 hours without water and ended up finding a cattle tank that had green water that he drank. Mind you, it's 95 degrees in September, and this guy is decked out in old school army clothes and wearing a bomber hat. We ended up giving him a beef stick. And
this is my favorite detail.
Oh, God. I just read further. And stopped. I started cracking up.
Cal, I'm blowing it because I'm ahead of the curve here, but this is my favorite part of this whole story.
We'll go back. Straight face. All right, here we go, Brady.
I can't quit laughing.
We ended up giving him a beef stick and a hot dog bun. A beef stick and a hot dog bun.
I just love the picture. This guy in military fatigues.
With a bomber hat on.
They're like, we don't really have anything. Here's a beef stick and a hot dog bun.
So you ended up giving him a beef stick and a hot dog bun and a Busch Light.
Oh.
Is that why you gave that one to
Brady?
And a Busch Light, which he tried paying us for with normal looking rocks. So this guy is using normal rocks as currency.
Okay.
All right. Later that night, driving out, this guy had been laying down in the grass on the trail and popped up in our headlights right in front of us.
Oh, fuck that. No way.
Same dude.
But we ended up giving him a ride on the tailgate 25 miles back to town, and he walked off into the abyss. This guy's name is looks like Dylan Steen.
So weird.
Dylan, you did. Dude, you don't get that guy in your vehicle.
No, you gave him a ride 25 miles on your tailgate.
You don't
after
do
just
that.
Popping up in the dark.
It's so weird.
But it's like his girlfriend and her dad. I want to know what
leaves this guy, just leaves him
for dead.
His
Looking for
girlfriend and her
rocks.
dad just leaves
Which
him.
is not true.
Yeah, this guy's making up a story, but he was decked out in old school army clothes. Wearing
That sounds like
hat.
a guy who's gonna leave you for dead, like making up a story and gonna leave you for dead.
I love the visual. You're just cruising along. All of a sudden, you run onto some old dude in military fatigues. He's been left out there for 28 hours, no food, no water, and you're like, I got a Busch Light and a beef stick and a hot dog bun. And the guy just munches on it and then disappears.
I mean, look, if it is true, like if his story is true, the beef stick and the hot dog bun with the Busch Light is hilarious.
It's hilarious.
Yeah,
but I'm leaning towards that part's not true.
Oh man, that one was funny.
I'm leaning towards he was out there looking for someone.
You think?
I don't know. Military fatigues and a bomber hat.
Bomber hat in September.
You do
probably an old method.
Yeah, like it sounds like somebody who's got a cooked brain and kind of coming up with stories.
And then try to currency with regular rocks.
That's awesome. I would have made him pay with rocks too. Like, how many you got? 4? No, this is worth 5.
Oh man, the weird, wild stuff you see in the woods, huh? All right, I got one for you. This is trail per your request, brother. Brother. It says, so about 3 years ago, my daughter and I were hitting some sage flats during the general rifle deer hunt in southern Utah when we hit a ravine that we didn't know existed before. It actually made a ton of sense because we had chased deer into the area and had them disappear. The bottom was littered with deer tracks, so I figured that's exactly what it was, a secret deer highway. So being a fun dad, I told her, let's walk the bottom and see if we can bump any deer out on the way out of the canyon. We followed this drainage for about a mile and hit the canyon and saw where it spilled into the canyon wall and down into the bottom. This was some amazing intel and some info I was stoked to learn about. Not keeping track of time, I realized we were going to get back to the truck at almost dark, so to not stress my daughter too much, I gave her my headlamp and told her to head right up back to where we had come from. We got probably 200 yards up the ravine, and I kept hearing some tapping on the river bottom. I didn't have the headlamp and glanced back to see a black shadow in the night walking about 100 yards behind us. 2 more steps, and I saw that it was stopped staring at us. My daughter was walking ahead, and I didn't say a word to her. She was barely 12, and I didn't want to freak her out or cause lifelong night trauma for the rest of her hunting life. So probably not wisely, I kept it to myself and walked the rest of the way, glancing back over my shoulder until we got back to the top of the ravine. We were about 150 yards from the truck, and the black shadow was staying anywhere from 60 to 90 yards behind me. Much too close for comfort. We hit the top of the ravine, and I stood there telling my daughter to go hop in the truck. I stood there with my gun aimed at the last corner, waiting for the shadow to show. He says, "You can probably guess what it was." What do you guys think? Any guesses?
Gigantopithecus.
He says, "The lion never showed its face." He said, "My daughter couldn't go out the next day because of a test in school, so I went right back to the same spot. And sure enough, I found some of the biggest cat tracks I'd ever seen. I never caught up to him, but we run dogs out there every year, hoping I might get lucky and catch a track to return the favor to the big kitty that stalked me that night." Kyle Hosler, sorry if I butchered your name. Kyle's a good dude. Kyle actually lived in Cedar and used to play intramural softball with us a little bit, but
At least it wasn't Gigantopithecus.
dude, it's getting stalked at night by a lion
By a lion? Yeah, that's never
and
fun.
not really knowing what it is. It's just like shadow stalking you.
The shadow part is what makes it worse because you don't know.
Yeah.
What a good dad, though. Honestly, for not telling his daughter. That's a phenomenal dad.
Yeah.
I can't say I would be man enough to do that. I'd be running up to Mike and be like, go, give me the headlamp.
Out of the road. I can tell you what a bad dad I am. So my middle kid, he was probably 6 at the time. And I took him spike elk hunting. And I sure as hell was not leaving before dark. So I glassed until pitch black.
Oh, yeah.
And then walking out of there, I had my oldest and my middle kid. This was the only 2 kids I had at the time. And he didn't even have a headlamp. I had a headlamp. So I'm holding his hand. We're walking out of there, and he's terrified, screaming. He was
Not happy in the
absolutely
dark.
terrified, even though I was right there with him. So I wasn't like, I was like, "Oh, come on, you're fine. Keep going. Let's go. You know, you're fine. Nothing out here's going to hurt you." So him being a good dad, I was a bad dad.
Yeah, I would not be that good of a dad in that situation. Give me that damn headlamp.
Yeah.
There's something stalking us.
Yeah. Anyway, creepy. Thanks, Kyle, for sending that one. I don't like getting stalked by lions at night when it's.
How about it just stayed
Yeah,
right at that same distance the whole time?
it's just right behind you. Creepy.
He didn't shoot when it finally
No.
broke.
Nope. Anyway, so that kind of wraps up user submitted stories. Like I said, there's a bunch more. We'll probably end up using some of them.
You guys don't get over the counter lion tags like Nevada.
God, I'd have to go back and check, see where the system's at right now, because it has changed in recent years. I should know that off the top of my head. Some of them are drawn. I think that there's a quota system as well.
Yeah,
But-
they just changed that with that guy who pushed it through.
yeah, it's been 2 years maybe.
Well,
I
it was
guess?
dark though too. You said right? Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. So you
Yeah,
couldn't have.
couldn't do it at night.
Yeah.
Can I just read one more?
Yeah,
It's a quick one. It's just like
read it.
I was reading it last
Read it,
night.
and then we'll wrap up
it's
some
not-
of our own.
It's just weird.
Do it.
Okay. When I was in high school, a buddy and I were out hunting whitetails during general rifle. We found a good 4-point and stalked it. My buddy made a good shot and dropped the buck in his tracks.
So I actually had this one highlighted as well because I thought it was weird too.
It's so weird. And I just want to read it. It's
Yeah.
short. We got up to the buck. We took a couple photos. And then right as we started to work on the deer, this guy randomly appeared out of the timber in front of us. All right. He walked up.
Gross.
And without saying more than 2 words, he pulled a knife out
Oh,
and cut the deer's throat and then proceeded to gut the deer in front of us for about 30 seconds and then just walked off.
what?
We sat there in awe for quite some time after he left, not even knowing what to think of the situation. So you shoot a deer.
You don't think good of the situation, I can tell you
Guy
that.
walks up, cuts his neck for whatever reason after they've been taking photos.
I'd have been like, hey,
guts in front of you.
I'd have been like, hey, what the hell are you doing, man?
Yeah.
Back off.
Yeah. Months later, we found out the same guy had been fired by his employer, and he was found hiding in a ghillie suit at night on the edge of his employer's property.
Ooh.
Not sure what his intentions were, but he definitely made quick work of the deer we killed. Neither of us ever saw him in person again. Trey.
Oh, that's gross. That's a gross one.
It's just like
That's a like bone chilling one. Hiding on his neighbor's boundary or his employer's boundary.
There's nothing good
Gross.
going to come of that.
Nothing good's coming of that.
Yeah, that one was creepy. Yeah, what would you say?
yeah.
I'd have been like, hey, no.
You wouldn't have been so taken back that you would just be speechless.
You might be.
That's
Like-
what I
like if you
probably
didn't
would have
say
just been
anything.
speechless. Yeah. If he just like appeared out of the woods with a knife.
There were a few of those that were not like that exactly, but like people running into people in the woods and being like trying to make conversation with them and then just like nothing, blankly walking through them, just past them, not a word, no response.
Gross. I don't like those.
I almost want to read another one.
Go ahead.
I'll not do as many of mine.
No, do it. I love it.
Because this one, just like his words, he used the word poltergeist.
Okay, yeah, go
He
for
uses
it.
the words haunt my dreams till the day I die.
Oh, I don't want to hear this one.
All right, go for it.
I was just like, I got to.
Okay, go for it.
All right. This Halloween, in a couple days here, all right, will mark the 10-year anniversary of an event that will haunt my dreams till the day I die.
Bro, if you know exactly to the date how long it was,
And this is your 10-year anniversary, which is a big thing.
Yeah, and you know how many years it's been.
I don't wanna
somewhere
hear
with a
this
lot
one.
of people. Like go to a concert that day, and it's like be a lot of people around you because
I don't like this one. I already don't like this one.
This is what I want.
If you know the date and you can remember how
Yeah,
many years,
it was-
and
it was real.
It was traumatic.
and it happened on Halloween.
Ugh.
All right, so that's why this one's really cool.
Okay.
And the place it's at is also really cool. It's like I was 22 years old and living in northern Michigan at the time. As you may or may not know, this deer hunting culture in northern Michigan runs deep. However, it is not at all an area that is known for large mature whitetails. Mitch Rumplebuck. Conspiracy. Whoops. Despite the low trophy, he didn't say that, I did, but we'll go back to his story. Despite the low trophy potential, my enthusiasm for bow hunting and finding a big buck remained high. So high, in fact, that Halloween evening rainstorm could do nothing to waver my plans of a sit in my tree stand. The anticipation of the impeding whitetail rut looming. Slickered from head to toe, I ascended to my prepared hang-on stand 20 feet up the trunk of a large sugar maple. The rain was loud against the hood of my rain jacket, but not so loud that I couldn't hear a twig snap about 40 yards to my left. And this is on Halloween.
Yeah, Spud.
Yeah.
I hope it's Spud. Please tell me it's
Me
Spud.
too. I hope it's
Shakily, I grabbed my bow as the largest whitetail I had ever seen, alive or dead for the area, slowly walked down the puddle-filled trail I was perched over. His mainframe 10-point antlers hypnotized me as he worked toward a scrape from left to right down the trail, inching closer to a shooting lane carved out months prior. A premeditated deed for this exact moment. The thousands of arrows shot throughout the summer made me finding my anchor point and settle my pin on the dark soaked coat of the monster that stood before me effortless. Meh. Did I do a good whitetail stopping noise?
that was really
That
good.
was a good one.
That was good.
That's what he put in there. Release, then nothing. So released narrow, then nothing. The deer turned, ran, and was gone from sight within a fraction of a second. Bewildered to the lack of auditory indication of impact, I calmed my nerves and climbed down to investigate. White fletchings sticking 45 degrees out of the wet leaves appeared as clean as the ones that remained in my quiver. How could this be? Did I hit a branch? Did the buck duck my string? Could I have just plain missed? Improbable. No, impossible. After consulting with friends and family later that evening, the most reasonable explanation we could come up with was the buck was a ghost.
No, he just missed.
A booner of a poltergeist that allowed my G5 fixed blade to pass through his partition prior to bounding out of my life in the nightmares for all of eternity. Happy Halloween, Travis Lang.
Nah, you just missed.
Okay, I'm not.
That didn't creep me out.
Being haunted by an animal that you messed up on. I get that.
I'm sorry that you missed the biggest buck
Yeah.
of your life, Travis.
That
That
sucks.
sucks. That would.
sucks.
You said Northern Michigan. I thought it was going to be a Legend of the Dogman type thing.
Oh,
Oh,
Yeah, Northern Michigan's got some.
That one would creep me out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw the word poltergeist and I was skating through it, and I saw Northern Michigan, and I saw ghosts, and I was like, "Oh, we got to do
That,
this."
gotta
that,
do
that
this
haunts
one.
you in a different way.
Sounds a
Yeah.
different way.
Yeah, yeah. You missed the giant buck.
Yeah.
In the rain, and that does
sucks.
suck. Yeah, I get that.
Gosh, there's some good ones.
All right, you want to hear the weird? Do you guys have some? Did you think any? You've ever had anything like that weird happen?
I had 2 weird things happen on on the same hunt, but nothing like
This.
nothing, paranormal or like, yeah, just creepy weird stuff.
Gotcha.
Yeah, the only weird ones I was going to mention, I can do them quick, and then I want to get to your, because you always have the good stuff.
I have 2, and they're just kind of.
Are we going through ours?
Yeah,
I mean,
if you-
I'll tell the
Yeah, I
story. I
wanna
don't
hear
know
it.
if we're going
I
through
wanna
them or
hear
not. So, do you want to go first or me?
I can go first to make it quick if you want.
Yeah, go.
So the one I was thinking of, I was in a certain state, hunting in grizzly bear.
Redacted.
Redacted state. All right? Don't even think
Yeah.
about looking it up,
Okay.
because there's no animals there. I was hunting mule deer with a rifle in grizzly bear country.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, narrow it down from there, folks. Figure that out. Good luck. But I'm setting the stage for that. So I'm hunting by myself, solo, every single day. And I'm like, doing what Trail said earlier, you hunt until dark all the time. You don't like leave and start going back, because every day, like, you need to hunt hard all the time. So this rainstorm comes in, and I'm sitting there glassing throughout the whole rainstorm. Don't see anything that evening. So I'm like, okay, now I got to make like the whatever it was, I can't remember, 2 mile and a half hike in the pitch black, in the rain, back to my camp. I had hunted like new area that evening, and just kept going further and further away from my base camp. My base camp's already way deep in the mountains. So hiking back in the dark, I got my headlamp going. All of a sudden, I like see glowing eyes in front of me, and I'm like, "That's a bear. I'm gonna die."
How close?
I don't like at the edge of my like headlamp range, so it was like 50,
If
60.
you tell me this is a feral black horse,
Yeah, I'm out.
So there it was, this barrel
I'm
black
done
horse,
for the rest of the day.
pearlescent eyes, sort of coming towards me.
Nope.
So I see these eyes, and I'm like, okay, I'm definitely dead. And all of a sudden, I see 2 more sets of eyes on the left and right of it, like low on the ground. And I'm like, this is like, I'm convinced in my head.
Sound cubs.
Yeah, that's the sound cubs, and I have to go that direction to get back to camp. There's no other way I can go around this little area. I can like go a little bit to the left or right, but like I have to go through this because how the terrain just like funnels me into it. So I'm like, shit, I'm gonna die. So I pull up my bino, try to look at it, and it's like downpouring rain. I'm like, I can't really see through the binos in the dark. It's already hard anyway. I try to crank my headlamp up brighter, still can't see. Start walking towards there a little bit. They just stay right there, and it's like feel like they're just like staring into my soul as I'm walking towards them. And I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna try to go around them, trying to make some noise. They did not move at all. And I'm like, don't want to like loudly try to scare these animals wherever they were, because I want to hunt there the next day. So all of a sudden, like they're like so low to the ground, like they're bears. It's a sound cubs. Like I need to figure out a way to do this. Like had my pistol on me and everything. So I like grabbed my pistol out. I'm like, it's just gonna happen. I need to try to like, hey bear, like do all this stuff. All of a sudden, the low object rises
No.
to a point where it's like it's not a freaking bear anymore. I'm like, what is this? What is this? And then finally I realized it was a doe and 2 fawns.
Oh,
And I
was thinking. I thought you were gonna say it was people, like
Yeah.
three,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
a lady and 2 kids or
But I
something.
was
and then I
something
really
odd.
was.
That's
Gonna,
just like I just have weird like things that got in my head. Thought it was a bear because it was low to the ground, and all of a sudden it rose up and like, oh, it's just that's why they weren't leaving, because at night doe and 2 fawns are not really scared.
eyes
They're
in the
doing that.
night are pretty scary when you're out hunting on your
Yeah.
own.
Yeah, I've had mountain lions before follow me too, and that was kind of scary. Like going up a trail, kept looking behind me, like shit, there's eyes, and I realized, oh, I saw the bounding tail or the tail behind it.
Yeah.
And then I went up the trail, another switchback further, looked back down. The mountain lion's now at the spot I stopped at. I've had mountain lions stalk me before, but the bear one was more like, I'm gonna die. There's bear in front of me. It's not like a spooky thing,
yeah,
but it's just like I've never had anything really truly weird happen when I'm hunting.
yeah.
You're going to after this. We're manifesting.
I got
Manifesting.
a quick eyes
Great.
one. I got a real quick eyes one. So my dad had a tag that was right on the north side of Area 51. And my brother and I were walking into a glassing knob, like quite a ways off of where he was hunting, probably like a mile and a half. We were kind of like the vantage point to try to turn up the buck first to see which way my dad needed to go, tell him, where to go. And as my brother and I are walking up this trail, we were like in there quite a ways, and we are right on the border of Area 51, like right on it. And big green eyes, like very big, right? And they were at like a tall enough point where it wasn't an animal on the ground, it wasn't anything, and there was definitely a shadow looking like it was below it, like a long like stick, like not stick, but like
just narrow,
thin, like a thin shadow below it. But it was still so dark. There was no moon. It was a great time to be hunting deer. No moon, no nothing, cold. So it was like really dark. But our headlamps were having these green eyes, and they were very large. And him and I both were like, dude, what the hell is going on? Like
They're
Area
green?
51, yeah.
Yikes.
Area 51. Things get in your head, right? Like, dude, this is crazy. What do we do? Like, dude, I'm stopping right here. Like, we can glass from right here, and I'm not walking closer to that. And you could kind of see the eyes like moving, like it would turn its head, or like the eyes would be facing a different direction, so you can only see one, and then you'd see it like turn back to where both eyes are facing right back at us. But you get all these things in your head, sun comes up, and we're like looking over there, never see anything, nothing, never a sound, nothing.
Damn.
It had to have been a lion in a tree. Had to have been.
Yeah.
Really?
That's what I think, right? Like, because we were in kind of the juniper carpet, kind of in that type of country. I mean, obviously on north side of Area 51, it's
or it
just
could have been a little gray man.
Or it could have been. I mean, we were literally right. We were back. We were back to the south. My dad was north of us, so we were like on the border, and my dad was about a mile and a half off the border hunting.
You're hunting deer?
Yeah. And
I mean, how many lions would be out there?
I know.
I don't know, but that's
low country.
Now,
I mean,
you calm yourself down.
Yeah.
The hunt went well. My dad ended up killing deer. You calm yourself down. It had to have been a lion in a tree. Had to have been.
I thought you were just going to say it had to have been a
the
green
shadow,
man.
Had to have been an
like
alien.
the shadow
He
below
got out of
him,
Area 51, escaped, and then was hanging out in the tree.
sure.
like that thin, long body, quote unquote body. Blake and I were both saying like, oh, do you see it? Yeah, I see it. Yeah. Like, had to have been the trees. Like, the trees had to have been making that.
Yeah.
And it had to have been a lion in a tree. What else could it be?
That would be weird.
And I refuse to believe it's anything else. That's what it was a lion in a tree.
But
no,
there has to be a logical answer, right?
and no noise, no nothing. Like, it's a lion. Like, they don't make noise. Why would we hear it get out of the tree? I mean, granted, it's only 100 yards ahead of us, but you're not going to hear it, So anyways, that's what I've gotten myself to believe, is that it was a lion in a tree.
I think it was an alien.
My brother might be on your
my team?
side. Yeah. But it was a lion in a tree. That's what I'm going with. A real creepy one though, because it deals with people. Like, this is the scarier type for me. So on Clay Hill's sheep hunt, he drew his sheep tag in Colorado. And it's a certain area in Colorado that there is some illegal activity that happens there quite a bit. It's in a valley with, a lot of trafficking going on through there. So obviously there's, the quote unquote cartel stuff is there, right? Like, a couple months before we were there was a body found in a barrel, burned, like about a couple miles off. It's just, it's a what do you call that?
Corridor.
Like a corridor for some trafficking stuff, right? Obviously everybody knows what I'm talking about, without having to say all the words. So it's just kind of it's an odd place, and we're out there middle of summer. It's August 1st was the opening of the hunt. So it's hot, short nights, long days. And we are driving a long ways from the town we were staying in to where we were actually hunting. We're driving about an hour, 20 minutes every day. And about the third day of the hunt, we go down this highway, we go through this canyon. The canyon is like local country, very small parcels of ranch and farmland, just very odd people. Like, I don't want to say anything bad about it, but it was just like it's not like a true farm ranch culture, because it's just these little pieces and parts.
I think everybody kind of knows those places where it's like, if there are people living there, like, those are people that don't want to live around other people.
Yeah. And there's no like real reason, because they're not big farms.
Sure.
They're not big ranches. They're not working ranches. It's just like these little.
I guarantee everybody that's listening knows someplace like this.
Like 10-acre pieces.
Like an area where you're like, why are they here? And really the only logical explanation is like, they're here because they just don't want to be around other people.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's a very good way to explain it. So they're just not friendly. You know, it's like just one of those spots. Well, about the third or fourth day of the hunt, I can't remember the exact day, we're driving on the paved highway where all these little farms and ranches are off of. And we turn on to a county road, a dirt county road, to go up to our glassing point every morning. Well, when we pull off, you know, we're in Clay's F-150 that's fixed up for hunting. That's all that guy does is hunt. So it's like, you know, we're getting after it on the dirt road. We make it about a quarter mile up the dirt road, and there is a hatchback Honda Civic, like, should not be on this road. And, you know, just kind of bouncing around. Well, Clay's Ford is black, and it's got, you know, ditch lights, and it's got a light bar on the top, and some would say it might look like, you know, Johnny Law if you saw it in your rearview mirror. So we come pulling up on this Honda Civic, and, you know, just like anything with hunting, we're just going to go around them in the first place we get. But as we start getting closer to the Honda Civic takes off. And I mean, like it was a rally car, you know, Travis Pastrana rally car, starts taking off. Well, Clay he's a fun loving dude, and, you know, we're laughing, and
he's like, let's chase him.
Yeah. So he like kind of sped up a little bit, and, you know, I'm like, dude, don't do it. And he's kind of laughing, and we're, you know, like I said, day 3, 4 of the hunt, we're already exhausted. We've been driving an hour, 20 minutes to and from this place every morning. So he's messing with me because I'm telling him not to, and he's a dickhead like that. So I'm like, bro, you don't know who this is, you know? So we're like not bumping them, but like getting close to them, and they start hauling off going. Well, we end up turning to go up this real steep hill that obviously the Honda Civic didn't even think about it. It stayed on the county road where we're going up to the glassing knob. Don't think anything of it. Honda Civic goes off. We're glassing for animals, you know. Day goes by, everything. Nightfall happens, didn't end up killing a ram that day. We had seen some. But anyways, we come off the glassing knob, we're going down, we hit the county road. And it's one of those county roads where, like, it is, you kind of are at the halfway mark, so then you just kind of take it out the long way back to the highway. So that's what we were doing, which was the path that the Honda Civic took. And we get about 75% of the way through that county road, and the Honda Civic is piled up in a bar ditch.
Same one?
Yeah, same one. Like, piled up in a bar ditch right off the road. You can't miss it. It's like on this, it was a real sharp S-turn.
It's like it had to been from that morning, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but this is miles down the road, because
Gotcha.
we were only about 25% of the way before we turned to go to
way further than.
Yeah. So this is like way down the road. Had nothing to do with us at this point. Like, this is way down the road. And it was piled up in a bar ditch, and it was ransacked. All the doors open, trunk open, like ransacked. And it was obviously high-centered, stuck, broken tire, axle, like it was toast. It wasn't going anywhere, and it was ransacked. And so Clay and I both were like, dude, of course. Like, of course we see this thing again, and whatever. So we make it all the way back to the house that night. We wake up, we come back out the next day, and now we're back on the highway that runs. There's a river that runs on the right side, and we're back in that valley of all those little farms and ranches, just about to where we turn off to the county road, the dirt county road. And there's 2 guys soaking wet, standing in the middle of the road trying to flag us down. And we're obviously there extremely early, because we still have quite a bit of driving to do to get to. Oh, it's beyond dark. Pitch dark.
They're in the road.
And it's a 2-lane highway that you cannot pull on either side, because it's cliff on one side and it's river on the other. You literally can't go around. And these 2 dudes are standing soaking wet in the middle of the highway. And we see them like 150, 200 yards down in front of us. So Clay slows like all the way down, and we're like doing, you know, mile an hour, 2 miles an hour. Like, dude, what do we do? Right. Anyways, we
throw it in reverse.
Get closer, and they're like trying to flag us down. I'm like, dude, do not stop. Don't stop. Right. So we're getting closer, and they start like grabbing all this shit out from the side of the river. So it was obviously like
the ditch
on the ditch side. Yeah. And Clay just kind of like maneuvered around them, and they were kind of yelling, whatever, like telling us to stop. It was the 2 guys who had crashed the find out later, that night before.
Oh,
so
what in
they
the
had
world?
been surviving in there that night. Obviously, they didn't want to be caught.
Yeah, whatever gear they had.
They ransacked the whole deal. I'm like, that's the first time I've ever been like flagged down at midnight. And it just so happened to be the guys that run the Honda Civic before. Come to find out later.
That's when you definitely had to scoot around them.
That made the rest of the hunt real creepy.
Yikes.
And not as creepy, but just this is on video because we filmed this hunt. And it's just a really odd place. There was one of the bigger ranches that sat kind of recessed off the highway. This is just kind of a secondary story here. That we had been driving up, parking, and then hiking up this other glassing knob that kind of gave us a different look into a different valley on the north side. And one of the locals told us, don't park there. Like, don't go up that road. There's a no access. Yeah, we know. Like, yeah, there's no access, but it's public property to get to the boundary. We park there and then we hike up. No, there's no access. Don't go back there. You know, being hunters, it's like, don't tell us we're not going to use public land, right? We're going. Well, anyways, sorry if I'm making this long.
No, you're good.
But we go in there, like day 2, 3, whatever. We catch these rams. There was a band of 7 rams of the one that we wanted. We called him number 2. That's the ram that we were looking for every day trying to kill. And he was last in line of this group of rams that were kind of circling the top end of this glassing knob that we were always on. And I'm like, dude, let's go. Like, we can kill this ram. We can cut him off right through the saddle where he's coming down off on public. He's coming off that private land. They would go down there and get water. There was this little stream that ran through there into the bigger river that I was talking about off the highway. So we run up there and, run up there. There was a guy and an old lady on a side-by-side that saw us park and run up the hill. Well, as we're getting set up on the hill, Kime, you guys know Kime. Kime was with us. He's videoed this whole thing. So we get up there and those rams are starting to come to us, and it's about crunch time. We're about 100 yards. Like, the way of the topography of the hill, like if I walk out to the end of the hill, I can see the tops of their backs about 100 yards, but we would sit back. So when they broke the hillside, they'd be about 30 yards. But we can see down in the bottom of that valley, that ranch that I'm talking about, where the guy told us not to park and the whole deal, but it is public land. They come out in the side-by-side, and that old lady, I'm looking through my binos, that little old lady gets out with a 223 and starts shooting into the hillside, like towards us.
Towards you.
Yeah. I mean, no impacts like close to us.
Sure,
or anything,
but she's
shooting
rounds
in between us and the sheep and ran the sheep off. One of those valleys.
No way.
That's the valley we were in.
That sucks. Do you turn her in?
No.
For harassing hunters?
I turned her in.
No.
Yeah, that's
we ended up killing the ram on a way far away from that spot.
But that was the reason why they told you don't park there?
Yeah.
Because she's going to harass you?
Yeah.
Those are like her pet sheep?
Yeah. So you put all that together.
Yeah, that's
it's like, yeah, dude, I don't want to go hunting there again. That was really weird.
Yeah, I got to avoid those places.
So I got one that's pretty similar. It's similar in a lot of ways to yours. So this would have been 2007. And
Do you remember the date?
I remember. And I remember it being the opening day of the muzzleloader deer hunt. And it was cold, like below freezing. I remember going out.
Those were the good days.
I remember going out that morning. I was going to meet a buddy, and we were going to go up on the mountain, had a spot we wanted to check out and hunt. And we had left really, really early. It was probably like 3:30 in the morning because we wanted to be early. We had some hiking to do. And so I remember that morning having to scrape my windshield. So it was cold, right? Hard frost. So I meet my buddy, jump in his truck. We take off. We're cruising up the mountain road. We're on a dirt road, and we're making good time. And it is really, really early and really, really cold. And we're probably, I would say, 10, 15 miles on dirt road at this point, right? We left pavement. We're on dirt road. We're cruising along. He's driving. And in the headlights out ahead, kind of like you, we see a figure standing in the road. And I was like, that's really bizarre, I wonder what's going on. So he slows down, and as we get closer, you guys seen The Ring?
Yeah.
No.
You haven't?
No.
You should.
Okay.
No, I will not.
I think I have it on DVD.
A very thin woman standing in the road with long black hair, clear down to her waist, over her shoulders, in a nightgown.
No.
Yep. Black nightgown, spaghetti straps.
This is when you just run right through her because she's a ghost.
Okay. Spaghetti straps, black nightgown, maybe mid-thigh. She's got house slippers on, and she's standing in the road.
How close are you to her?
So at this point, we slowed almost to a total stop, and she's probably 100 yards ahead of us.
Is she looking at you?
Freezing out.
She's standing in the middle of the road in a nightie,
It's-
It is below freezing for sure.
But is her head down?
Her head
to the
is
side or
down.
looking at you.
Her head is down. Her head's kind of down. She's got her hair hanging in front of her shoulders.
Like-
Long black hair, stringy,
just like The Ring.
just like The Ring. I mean, if you've seen The Ring, picture The
Did
Ring.
you
This-
watch The Ring before this?
I'd
before
seen
this
the,
time?
I'd seen The Ring before this, so but yeah, it's seeing her, and that's immediately what your mind goes to is like, oh, this I've seen this before. I know what happens. She's coming through my TV when I get home, but yeah. So she just is kind of standing there in the middle of the road. So he eases up slow, gets to the side of her, and rolls down his window about this much, and he's like, "Hey, are you okay?" Nothing. Not a word. Doesn't speak. She just turns and walks right down the middle of the road, right past the end of his tailgate, just keeps walking right down the middle of the road. And I was like, what the hell do we do? And no cell phone service. This girl's out in the middle of nowhere, below freezing, middle of the night, in a nightgown. Wouldn't speak. Walked.
Did she ever look at you?
She kind of half looked out at the side of her eye, but never turned fully to us. Didn't speak and just walked down the middle of the road.
Maybe she was filming for a scary movie, and you guys were part of the
So-
scary movie.
Yeah, so we're utterly freaked out.
Like proper freaked
we're
out.
proper freaked out at that
I'd be
point.
Totally freaked out.
So I was like, let's keep climbing. Let's go up the road. We'll keep going up the road, get some elevation. When we get up on top, we'll call it in, right? So we go up the road another probably 3.5, 4 miles. And there is an old Buick. Do you remember like a 1980s Buick, big floater, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's off in the ditch. It's got one wheel kind of sticking up. And as we pull up, the passenger door is open with a set of legs hanging out of it. True story. And I was like, nope, I'm not going to look. Let's go. Let's haul ass. We hauled ass to the top of the mountain. We just called that one in, called 911. I have no idea what happened.
You've never looked at what
I
happened?
have no clue what happened.
So do you think passenger door, legs out? Do you think this lady was driving, or lady maybe crawled out the passenger door and the legs then of the other person flopped out, and she hit her head so badly that she was just walking kind of like crazy down the road, and that's why didn't know what to say.
I kind of think
thought
maybe
like she killed her.
I kind
hit
of think
something.
maybe drug fueled rager. We're out cruising, we lose control.
Yeah.
Put our car in a ditch, and maybe she's just like, he's incapacitated. I don't know if he was alive or dead. But yeah, legs.
Just
hanging.
not saying anything. That's weird.
Didn't
Was
say
their
a-
body on the
didn't-
legs?
Didn't say a
Could
word.
you see
No, I
body?
couldn't see, man. All I could see is the passenger door slightly propped open and legs hanging out.
And then
Which
like,
you also wonder, why are their legs hanging out? She tried to grab his legs and pull him out?
yeah.
Did he try to get out?
How did you
passed
not
out?
go back and look
Dude,
at
there's no way I'm going to look in that. No way.
just to figure out what the call resulted in?
Did you never follow? Yeah, you never tried to follow up.
This was like
Look-
07. Yeah, no, I mean, I had no clue. I don't know what happened to it. I called it in, but it was one of the weirdest things I've ever seen. That was a weird one.
Yeah, see, yours, there's so much unknown to yours. Mine is very known. We know exactly what happened.
Yeah,
I mean,
this
it's a corridor.
That's what makes it a scary
two dudes
story.
in a Civic
You don't
and-
know. I have no idea.
I don't
what
like
happened.
the unknown. I
Did
would
she
have
kill her
called
friend?
immediately.
Maybe.
Purposely?
Who knows? I don't know. I just know what I saw. And
Did
it
you
was-
guys go hunting?
It was I killed a big buck. You know the buck in my office with the big hook and the cheaters?
yeah.
I killed that buck that evening.
I never knew that part of it.
Yeah, I killed that buck
Maybe I did.
that night. Yep. I killed
Did you try to glass down to the road? to
opening
see
day? No, because we were going hunting way further back. We got to the top of the hill,
Huh.
and then we went probably another, I don't know, 8
You're
miles
mentally
or
way
so.
tougher than me. I wouldn't
That
have
was
been
a good.
able to
I think
hunt.
you got a good omen because of that, because you called it in. Like they were like, "Hey, I'm going to toss up trail a big old cheater buck."
Yeah, it was really creepy. Yeah, this girl in the middle of the road with long black hair. It was creepy.
You know, the long black hair thing. Why do they always have to have long black hair
I don't know.
And why like just not even
and a nightgown,
Yeah.
slippers?
and why not even like recognize that you're there?
Yeah, nothing.
So when you first pulled up on her, she was just standing.
In the middle of the road, standing,
moving.
not moving. And then we pulled
that's
to
way
we
creepier.
pulled to the side to where she was level with the driver's side. I was
wouldn't have
like
done that.
trying to crawl in the back seat. I was like, please don't roll that window down. I
gonna
don't know
come
what's going
crawling
on.
through the
but
window.
This just does not feel right. And he cracked it a little bit, tried to ask her if she was okay, and just nothing, kind of side eye, and then just walked past the end of the truck.
It's kind of smart cracking a little bit, because me being super friendly, I'd be like rolling all the way down, like, hi, put my arm out there, how's it going?
Not with that sighting.
No way,
I probably
man.
would just keep driving.
Not at 3:30 in the morning. It was
No.
creepy. It was really creepy.
Yeah, that was definitely one of those things where you like, try to get service and call it in. Be like, this is weird.
Very bizarre.
I cannot believe you never looked into what that call resulted in.
Yeah, I have no idea. I don't know what happened.
Shot a big buck. You didn't care.
I did kill a big buck that night. And that's what mattered most.
And nothing came through your TV.
Yeah.
So you're good.
All right, and then I'll wrap up. And really, this is just for Robin Ferguson. She loves this story.
Yes.
So
Go Robin.
Shout out Robin. She's a huge alien freak. When I ran into her and Calvin at Salt Lake at the expo. We started talking aliens, and I was like, I got an alien story for you. And she's really into it. So I told her my whole alien story. So she was like, oh, you got to tell the story. So
I don't think I've ever heard this.
Again,
You have it?
I'm paying attention super hard because it's probably the 15th time I've heard this story.
So this
says it correctly the same
I thought this
every
was
time.
the other story.
Nope.
Nope.
This is my original alien story, which people always ask me to tell. I don't know why, because it's the weirdest thing that's ever happened to me in my whole life.
Weirder than what you just said.
Yeah, weirder than that for sure.
And if you know Trail, you know he's tells the truth all the time.
For sure, this
He
is
doesn't lie about where he's hunting. He always gives people hunting spots. He's a true truth teller.
When people ask me about Trail, I genuinely tell them, and I mean this in all honesty and like appreciation of who you are. Well, I tell people, I'm like, Trail is incapable of lying.
Yeah.
Like he's literally like times when he should. Like I don't think he's capable of it.
So keep that in mind when you listen to Trail's.
I literally
I
just
don't
not
know
paying
about-
attention
I
for any
just told
discrepancies.
Ryan Gentry that in New Mexico. I'm
I don't
like,
know
dude,
about that, but this one's not a lie for sure. This actually happened.
All right, let's hear it again.
Okay.
Or hear it for the first time for people.
Again, I'll start out with the year. It was 1996.
Oh boy.
Good year.
It was 96, and it was New Year's Eve. And me and two friends went to a group of friends' house. So I won't say her name. She lives in Junction. She knows who she is. So we went to her house. A bunch of people over there hanging out, watching a movie. It's New Year's Eve. We're just kind of shooting the bull. And this is the point in the story where I have to chime in and say, as well as the other gentleman, no foreign substances. We were not liquored up. We weren't doing drugs, anything like that. We were completely, totally sober. Okay. So we're at this party hanging out. It's about 15 minutes to midnight, New Year's Eve, 1996. And at that point, I was like, I probably better get home. The other guys had further drive than I did, and they were going to give me a ride home. And party was kind of lame. Sorry if you know who you are. Anyway, so the party was a little lame. So I was like, let's take off. Let's go. You can drop me back at my house. And I live in Circleville, Utah, for those of you that might know, a little reference point. So we leave Junction. We're driving back to Circleville, and we are driving on this long straight stretch. So there's about a 3-mile straight stretch that goes into town if you're coming from Junction to Circleville. We're driving along, and it's almost midnight. We're listening to the radio. We got X96. So those of you from Utah, you'll know X96, which is like this alternative station. For some reason, that stretch we could get it, right? Because normally you couldn't get it most places in Paiute County. So we're listening to the radio, and they're doing like a countdown of the top songs for the year. So hits midnight. The DJ is like, hey, top song, 1996. He's like, Green Day, When I Come Around. So you know that song, right? So my buddy reaches over. We're in a single cab pickup truck, right? Small lowrider, the one I mentioned on a previous podcast. We're in that. So there's 3 of us lined
Three
up.
of you guys in the single
3 of us
cab.
lined up in the front. He reaches over. He's got the radio cranked. We're singing Green Day. We're having a hell of a good time. It's New Year's Eve. And right as it's midnight, just midnight. Okay. So we're riding along, and all of a sudden the entire cab of the pickup truck is just engulfed in the brightest red light, like intense red light. Like I can almost feel it because it's so hot. You can feel it and see it. It's just bright, intense red light. And at the moment when it happens, I'm instantly so terrified I can't move and I can't speak. The only thing I can remember from that moment is the hairs on the back of my head, those cold chills that you get, and your arms, everything is just, it feels like your fingertips are electrified. Like you're so genuinely terrified. I don't know if you've ever been that scared. But in that moment, like I was legitimately terrified because it didn't make sense. It was pitch dark, just red light. And it's just kind of going along with us. And he's driving, right? He's starting to slow down a little bit. They're both of them equally scared. I finally kind of, like after probably 2 or 3 seconds, this has kind of happened, and it's hard to tell time, like how long this went on, but it felt like maybe a couple seconds. I got my, enough wits and enough strength that I could move, and I leaned out and I looked out the windshield and I looked up above us, and I yelled, "What the fuck is that?" And it's about a 20-foot red disc hovering over the top of the truck, and it's just maybe 35 feet above us, and it's just hovering over the top of us as we're moving.
Is it making any sound?
I don't remember any sound. I remember the radio being on, but I don't remember any sound. It's just staying with us. And as I yell that, it goes out, kind of collapses to a center point, and it zips straight to the south, probably 5 or 6 miles. It hovers over the top of the south end of the Beaver, and then it goes straight north. It goes up and over the horizon and just flat disappears, and it leaves like streaks in the sky as you can see it go. And it was legitimately the strangest, most bizarre, weird thing that's ever happened to me in my whole life, and I have no explanation for it.
Yeah, you don't know.
And this is 1996.
Yeah. This was before internet, cell phones.
Yeah, there's nothing.
Anything like that. I didn't have an email address at the time. Like I cannot, for the life of me, I have no idea what it was.
What do you and your friends, do you ever like call them up and like, hey, remember that night?
Yeah, so
they all think they all say the same thing.
Yeah,
what
so
happened?
I think I was telling you it's been maybe, I don't know, several months ago. I was at the Maverick gas station getting a drink, and I pull in and I go in, I kind of look across, and I see my buddy Jeremy, who was the driver. And I was like, "Oh man, Jeremy." So I go over, say what's up. We're talking family, what are you doing nowadays, and just shooting the bull. And I'm like, "Hey man, good to see you." He goes, and then I had this thought. I'm like, "Man, I want to ask him. Like, I just want to ask him if he remembers it." And I, more specifically, like I want to hear him repeat it to me, because I want to know if like what he saw mirrors what I saw. Mm-hmm. So I ran up and I asked him, and I just said, "Hey, do you remember?" And he's like, "Yeah." Like, I didn't even have to say anything. It wasn't like, "Hey, do you remember blah, blah, blah." It was like, "Hey, do you remember?" And he's like, "Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about." And I was like, "What happened?" And he tells me verbatim back, and it's exactly as I remember it, just from his perspective. And it was exactly as it happened, man. And I don't have any idea.
What did you guys talk about the rest of the drive?
Dude, we like by the time that I yelled and it took off, we'd kind of almost gotten to a full stop, because he'd just basically taken his foot off the gas and it was just kind of rolling, And I remember after it disappeared over the horizon, we just kind of sat there. And I was just like, what? What was that? Like, what was it? Do like you were still terrified? You were still scared? I was still...
You didn't know if it was coming back?
No, I was still shaken up. He gave me a ride back to my house. I went in and I talked to my mom and dad, and I told them, I'm like, "You guys aren't going to believe what I just saw." And they were like, "Oh yeah, that's nice, dear." I'm sure they were just like, "Oh, he's a 15, 16-year-old kid, whatever."
Yeah. Have you been under the influence, son?
Yeah. But they were just like, "Oh, that's, yeah, that is weird." I don't think that they gave it necessarily any merit at the time, but I don't know. It was really weird. I used to go back, like when I lived close enough, I used to go back at midnight on New Year's and drive the same stretch just to see, just in like hopes. I was like, I want to experience this again. I just want to see it, But I've never had anything like that happen ever again since. I've never seen anything else weird in the skies that I thought was like that. But yeah, that night, the weird thing about it is also the timing, right? So,
yeah.
Like
countdown going on.
Like midnight, New Year's Eve at the minute.
And then you said you felt like you couldn't move.
Huh?
I felt like you couldn't move.
Oh, I was terrified.
Do you think at that moment you were abducted?
Neville thinks I was.
That's why you felt like you couldn't move, because your body is actually not there. You were abducted.
Neville always says that. He's like, "Oh, you've been abducted by an alien, you weirdo."
And I can hear that in Neville's voice.
There
too,
is-
just
I
laughing.
mean, if you listen to like all the recounts of people, that is what a very common theme. It's like when that first happens, they literally can't move, can't speak.
Yeah, I do remember that. Like I remember being completely frozen to the point like I couldn't move. I didn't feel like I could move or speak. Like I feel like I couldn't find a voice. Like and I remember being
That's
terrified.
deeply scared.
I remember being completely as scared of as I've ever actually been in my entire life. Like, it's the one moment I can go back to and I can think about, and I'm like, is there a point in your life where you were truly, truly terrified? And that was it. Like, I was frozen, terrified.
Have you ever looked at anybody's recounts if they've had a similar experience?
Have
Red
you-
light.
So, have you ever read or listened to the recount of the guy in Flagstaff area? So, the movie Fire in the Sky was based
Yeah.
on. It's
Yeah.
not that far off. It's a red light. It's a disc.
How big of a disc?
I can't remember how big he said. It landed they came upon it in a clearing, and it was a glowing red disc. And he got out and walked up to it and touched it. And that's the last thing he remembers. And he showed up in Flagstaff, I want to say 3 days later. He was missing, gone. Everybody else fled. They couldn't find him. They have no idea, no account of what happened to him during those 3 days. Like, he's got an account of like things that he thinks he saw during the time that he was gone or missing. But I've listened to a lot of these because obviously this happened to me, so it's like in kind of my wheelhouse. I'm just like, I have a personal interest in it. But a lot of them are very similar in description. Is kind of the experience that I had.
So the one thing I really liked about Trail Story, like I said, I've heard it a ton.
That's the first time I've ever
And
heard
if
it.
you want to
Really?
if you want to go back and compare stories right now, all right, side by side, compare stories. Go check out our episode titled "Canvas Cutter and Unidentified Flying Objects."
Oh yeah,
Big Hunt Guys podcast, episode 23. So that's way back in the day. That's like
yeah, because they have a T-shirt with a UFO like abducting an elk, and I
Yeah.
was like, oh, you want to hear a UFO story? So I told him that one at that point.
that episode's from July 7th of 2022. So check it out, compare stories. But like you heard him when you hear him when he's talking. He's saying like, yeah, we were 3 miles down this road. We were like all this like is such the level of detail he's describing.
I believe it.
Left 15 minutes beforehand, driving, listen to the song, countdown's going on, exactly at midnight, facing this way. The thing's like 20 or whatever, 30 yards above him.
If there are details that are inconsistent, it's the radius of it and the height above me, because I couldn't really tell. I mean, I don't know exactly how big, radius wise it was. I know it was big enough that it engulfed the vehicle and, outside the window, and maybe to the front of the hood, I would say. And then, height, I would say
Yeah, that's always like what it's
hard to say.
But like the little things he talks about, like I asked him before
wild.
again about his friends. They all have the same
I
thing.
mean, I
like,
want to believe it, so I believe it. But
and like I said, Trail's an honest fella.
Yeah.
Why would he need to lie about it? Why would he need to make up a story about aliens? But what is it, Trail? We want to know. What was it?
I don't know what it was, but it legitimately did happen.
How fast was it traveling when it went to the south and then back to the north?
Oh, like
Beyond fast.
beyond fast.
And that-
I mean, like literally a streak. Like if you think about a streak, single streak, just to the horizon, hover, straight the other direction, gone. Leave a red streak, like a red, like a chemtrail, like red streak, gone. But almost instantaneous.
At night, drones weren't a
Unreal.
thing back then. He said no cell phones. Internet
Or were
wasn't-
they? I don't know. That's the thing.
Yeah, what
I
was
don't
it?
know. I mean, it could have been just the government screwing with
And
me.
why would they drop red light on you though? Why would they hover above
I mean,
you
it would be pretty funny.
on midnight of all things? Like, okay, the government's going to cause
Would
you
be
to
pretty
crash.
funny to mess with some
It would be
16-year-old
pretty
kids
funny to
on
mess
New
with
Year's.
some 16-year-old kids on New Year's right at midnight. Hit them with the red light. And I don't know, though. I mean, that's where my mind goes. I'm like, maybe it was some sort of government testing or whatever. But I mean, I'm not aware of any that's going on in that area. But yeah, that really happened. That really absolutely legitimately happened
wild.
to me. So
My wife has a
does she have
UAP
one?
story, yeah.
I'll have to talk to her sometime.
Get back on the podcast.
She's got a really good one.
Yeah.
And corroborated by the rest of the people in her vehicle and a vehicle that was like 2 minutes behind them.
Do you believe in aliens?
Yeah.
You do?
I think there has to be something else out there.
Yeah.
I was looking at some story the other day on Instagram was saying like how many actual galaxies are out there. It's
Do you
like,
think they visited us then?
I mean, here's where it gets into is like this simple question: do you believe in aliens? Like, define an alien? What is it?
yeah. There's life out
Define
there.
alien. Is there more life out there? I'm 100% in the boat with Elon. To even think that we are just the absolute lucky doesn't even describe like what we actually are if we are the only life out there. Like there's 6 trillion galaxies or something like that of the observable universe. Like the mathematically with statistics, the chances of us being the only life form, that is so much harder to believe than there actually being other life out there. You know what I mean?
Statistically, it seems very likely.
Like incredibly likely. The likelihood of us being the only is statistically way less than there being more. I'm right with Elon on that one.
Do you think they're?
But describe aliens though. You know what I mean?
Do you think they're visiting us?
Do I think we've been visited? That I feel like that is the better question to ask people.
Yeah.
It's like, because do you believe in aliens again? Define that, right? Is it life out there? Yeah, I absolutely believe there's more life out there. Now you want to get into the nitty gritty. Have we been visited? That's when you start getting into the realm of like, do I want to say what I believe because then people think I'm a freak? Or
I think
yes, absolutely. I think we're visited all the time.
I think it's more likely that happens than there's ghosts. I believe in aliens more than I do ghosts.
Aliens way more than Bigfoot.
Like I said,
way more than Bigfoot.
I don't believe in ghosts. I believe in spirits.
Sure.
And, whether you want to call it extra dimensions or anything like that.
That is interesting too. I mean, there's so many ghost stories out there. There's more ghost stories than there are alien stories. And you would think that given the amount of stories that exist, you would think there's got to be something to it, right?
Yeah, so TV shows going into haunted houses.
But yes, do you believe we've been visited?
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah.
Do you?
Roswell, New Mexico.
No. I'm
look it up.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of accounts. I mean, there's the one in Brazil. There's lots of different accounts. I mean, there's this dude, the Fire in the Sky guy that the movie was built on.
So yes or no?
I'm gonna say yes. But I don't believe there's a lot of things I don't know. I'm on the fence. I'm not like a true believer of a lot of things, It's like there's only a very few things
even going through that experience
that I actually know. But that's the thing is I guess maybe I'm logical to a fault, like I think about it, I'm like, yeah, it's probably government, you know what I mean? Like what is the most likely? And usually that's the thing. The most likely usually is the thing, right? But I mean, given the timing, I don't know.
Yeah.
It seems very strange to think that it could be or would be military or, some sort of weapons testing or some sort of new tech in that regard. But I don't know, man. It was weird. That's the only thing I can say. It was I'll be 45 here in a couple of weeks. That was the strangest thing that's happened to me my entire life.
Yeah. Do you believe we landed on the moon?
No.
You don't?
I don't.
Do you believe, Brady?
I haven't looked into it deep enough, but my assumption is yes. I do believe we've landed on the moon.
I don't
really
believe.
What about you, Ian? Producer Ian?
Land? I'll say yeah, but do I think pictures could have been doctored? I'd say that's fairly likely.
We know they were
And
doctored.
as far as being visited, I'd say yes, but then you gotta think, if they are intelligent enough to traverse galaxies, move to different planets, let's just assume they can view what a shit show we are.
Yeah.
Why would they talk to us?
Yeah. Why would they want to? Yeah.
There's
no
a lot
reason
of,
to.
There's a lot of theories on why they're not communicating
Just
with us.
sit and observe.
But, so you do believe we've landed on the moon? If you had to pick yes or no.
Generally speaking, yeah.
You do
At
believe.
that time,
I don't, but
You believe that we have?
Yeah.
I do not.
I don't either.
I haven't looked into it
I do
deep
not.
enough.
The reason I don't believe that we have is because we have not been back.
Why would we need to?
Why
Who's
would
playing devil's advocate here?
So-
There's nothing humans have ever done once. We've always tried to do it better and faster and more often.
And the weird thing is we cannot replicate in how many years has it been? I mean, we're
Since 60s?
60? Yeah.
Late 60s?
Yeah. we don't have the technology to match to do it again, to go back. It just seems
It's
too
a lost
strange.
technology.
I mean, tell me one thing. Tell me one thing that has not
Been done
massively progressed.
It's very true.
That doesn't make sense to me.
Me either.
And then if you dive down all the different rabbit holes of all the different pictures and, you know,
Well,
the flag blowing in the wind.
Like everybody wants the data and proof. I think the main thing is the radiation rings. Like we don't have the technology today to bring a machine through that type of radiation that you would have to go through.
Well, then the other thing about it is
And the camera that they used was not protected from radiation. It was just a normal camera. There's like so many, like if you want the data or the proof or whatever, it's like, yeah, you can go either way, except for that. Like the radiation rings is a very straightforward thing.
well, then the other thing is people always say, well, what would be the justification for lying? You know, well, you get in a race with Russia and you want to prove something. To me, there's motivation.
So you want to hear my take on that? The amount of propaganda that has been proven to be true just now in the 2000s and up until today. And you're going to tell me we weren't propagandized back then as a country?
More so.
Like way more so.
Yeah,
there was no internet. There was no
there's no way you can
people
prove
couldn't
it.
do their own research. Like that is the time that propaganda owned everything.
Yeah.
And like when you're in a race and you're trying to do stuff and
having listened to a fair amount of both sides, I don't believe that we have.
I agree.
I need to do some more research, I guess.
The thing that gets me more so than anything, having listened to both sides, because look, I am, I'm a red-blooded American male. Like I want to believe that we are the best at everything, and I take massive amounts of pride in that and being an American. So I want to believe that we have beat everybody. Like there is that side of me that wants to believe it, right? Just out of that pride of what we're capable of.
Yeah, I could care less whether we have or haven't.
I think it's a very like prideful thing, right? Like to we're the country that did that, like our minds, But then there's that like the want of that. But then you look at the radiation rings for me is the part where I'm just like, in the 60s we could and now we can't. And by the way, in the 60s we didn't even know there was radiation rings.
Yeah, it doesn't seem feasible to me. Brady, you do a deep dive and report back on whether you still believe it. We'll catch you next week.
Okay.
You could tell us.
Just do a full segment on just did we land on the moon or not?
We'll find out if Brady still believes.
You don't want to believe in one of America's biggest accomplishments?
No.
Really?
I could give 2 rips. I mean, what was the point, to be honest?
True.
It's like, I'm sure there's a bunch of it that come up that I'm completely unaware of, but like reality is, it's like, I don't see that as being like a major accomplishment of mankind. I mean, there's a lot of other things I'd rather see solved than landing on the damn moon.
For sure. I mean, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, whether then or now, but
there's much bigger issues that need to be solved for than getting to the moon.
You said we did it once?
Yeah.
No one landed on the moon once?
Human. We've sent
rovers,
rovers and bots and things.
According to ChatGPT, yes, the United States did land astronauts on the moon. First was Apollo 11, obviously, July 20th, 1969. The U.S. continued with 6 successful Apollo missions that landed astronauts on the moon, ending with Apollo 17 in 1972.
And we've never done it since.
I don't know if
that says they've done.
But I don't know if they got. I don't think they
astronauts.
actually got out. Right. I think there's only been.
That's part of the lure of this whole thing. Is apparently we from 69 to 72 we did it 6 times and we've never done it since.
Yeah. Well, we did that. We conquered it. It's like Everest. People they summited Everest and no one goes there now.
No. Anything we've ever done, we haven't made it better and faster to do the same thing.
do it better. Yeah, exactly. What was the point in the first place if you weren't going to then add on to it and learn more and do more and figure out more?
That's part of the lure. So from 72 to now, we've never put a human, just machines.
From 72 now, then I'll go with that. I'm diving down the rabbit hole already. I'm just.
Brady's the.
What are the radiation rings called? They have a name.
I love the rest of Brady's days.
Gonna be spent to this.
His ass is landing on the moon a hoax.
He's straight looking into it the rest of the day.
Yeah.
Anyway, those were good. Happy Halloween, everybody. I hope you don't get abducted by aliens. Hope you guys get some trick-or-treating in.
Kill a huge cheater buck.
Kill a huge cheater buck. And thanks for submitting your stories. That was fun.
Vote no on Proposition 127.
Oh, yes.
Do
and
that.
it's coming down to
The wire here, folks.
coming down to the time.
Yeah.
Educate. Vote no.
Okay. We're out.